Well, good afternoon, everyone, from the prairies. It is the heartland of curling in Canada. Swift Current, Saskatchewan, Canada, playing host to the World Curling Championship. And if you look at the city of about 17,000 people, a lot of them will try to pile in to the Credit Union Iplex, making their way through the historic downtown. Just a couple hours west of the provincial capital of Regina. And there's the Credit Union Iplex, where the world comes to play. A beautiful venue for an outstanding event so far, and it is about to get even more interesting here as we enter inside. Canada takes on Japan. Huge playoff scenarios throughout, and this one we'll try to clarify those a little bit. Luke Coley, Hans Frauenlob, as we welcome you inside. What should be an important one? Japan's final game around robin. Canada will play again tonight. We'll get into those scenarios and possibilities throughout. Japan knows at worst they're in a tiebreaker at this year's Ford World Women's Curling Championship. All four sheets in play, and we are there. Sheet D, Japan, Canada.
Big pressure on this Canadian team, even though they're sitting at the top of the standings. 2 losses today could have them on the outside looking in. The Russian team about to be honored by their national anthem.
Well, as they honor the teams, let's look at the teams in our feature game. Canadian lead, Lainey Peters. Their second, Jocelyn Peterman. The third for Team Canada, Amy Nixon. And their skip in her first World Championship, Chelsea Carey. Team Canada takes on Japan. Their lead, Yurika Yoshida. Second, Yumi Suzuki. Third, Chinami Yoshida. And their skip, Satsuki Fujisawa. In our feature matchup in draw 16. Let's look at the standings entering this draw. Japan, their final game coming up. They sit at 8-2, control everything in their destiny. Canada, Switzerland at 7-2, then Russia and Scotland just behind at 7-3. Those 5 available into the playoffs. Korea at 5-5, just on the outside looking in, while Denmark and the U.S. at 4-5. Sweden 4-6. Germany, Finland, and Italy round out the 12-team field. Top 4 will make the playoffs and get a chance. Look at all the matchups going on in this 16th draw. Switzerland takes on Italy. Switzerland needs to keep pace with everyone else in the playoff potential. The U.S. taking on Finland. Both these teams eliminated, as is Denmark. They'll try to play spoiler against Russia. And we're on sheet D. Canada, Japan. Last time, Japan making the playoffs, 2008. That's the last time Canada has won a World Women's Curling Championship. And Hans, talked before, seen a lot of this Japanese team. Key position, a key matchup to watch for in this game?
Well, watch out for the third position battle between Chinami Yoshida and Amy Nixon. Yoshida's really been the spark plug for this Japanese team, but they've been strong up and down the lineup. Amy Nixon has enormous international experience, and she's a bit of a mentor to the rest of this team. So a head-to-head battle that will be interesting, and if you're the draw maker, kudos to you.
Thank you very much.
Head-to-head on the final day. 2 more round-robin draws left, and 3 of our top 5 teams are going head-to-head here on this final day. So fantastic excitement and a very good crowd here in Swift Current on a Thursday afternoon before the Easter weekend. I'm sure they're ready to enjoy some outstanding curling.
Well, looking around, not a lot of empty seats in the building. A lot on the one side of this converted hockey rink into 4 sheets of curling. The draw shot challenge, the last stone draw they do before the game, critical for both all the teams now finishing up. Japan will start with the hammer.
That's critical for two reasons, Luke. You're right. The most important in the immediate is that Japan gets last rock, and they've done fantastically with last rock throughout the competition. But draw shot distances can also be used to break ties between teams in the standings after the round robin if their head-to-head records don't separate them. So, little early moral victory for the Japanese to have last rock here in the first end. Canada's playing the red stones. Japan's playing the yellow stones, and we're underway. This should be great.
And the birthday girl, Lainey Peters, to get us going. Early happy birthday to the Canadian lead. Love nothing more than a couple of victories on her birthday.
I'm sure that's the kind of birthday present she has in mind. So let's see what Japan does. Conservative play here in the first end. No corner guard.
Well, Japan already beating Scotland early today. And Hans, you saw that one. They scored and struck early and had frustrated that Scotland team. They didn't have an answer the whole game.
Yeah, with respect to my curling friends in Scotland, it was truly a demolition job. But look at this, an open miss on the first hit of the end. Maybe some nerves here from the Japanese.
Taking on the Canadian team, home country. Now you start thinking you're in the playoffs. There's a little more pressure on you.
Well, it is definitely a new pressure situation for the Japanese team. They came into this week, nobody was picking them to make the playoffs. Their name was never mentioned in that conversation, and now 2 draws to play, and the media is asking you questions about the playoffs, and you're playing the host country here. You know it's going to be a tough game, so maybe some pre-game nerves. They do have the hammer, however, but yes, coming back to this morning's game, they were enormously impressive against Scotland. Eve Muirhead, world champion, had no answers. The Japanese were dominant. But a little bit of a scramble here right off the bat for Japan. Let's see if Yurika Yoshida tries to tidy up after her first miss. That's more what we're accustomed to seeing from this Japanese team.
Spill it all the way out. Very nice.
Does.
Just out. Good recovery after the first open miss.
Well, in a situation like that, especially early in a game, if you gas your first one, you love a chance to make up for it immediately. There's Jocelyn Peterman.
Youngest member of this Canadian team.
This one's tracking a bit. Rolls to the wing. Japanese might be able to use that. It'll be interesting to see if they're tempted. And they are. Too much to resist. This is Japan's final round robin game in this 11-game round robin. Here's Japanese second player, Yumi Suzuki. Canada will have one more game tonight against Eve Muirhead from Scotland, who will be fired up, I'm sure, to bounce back from her game this morning.
I think she's in a bit of a foul mood after a loss this morning and a loss yesterday. The hands of the comeback against Switzerland.
Yes. Some interesting games. Teams will play a 6-end minimum of ends, 38 minutes thinking time, and each team will have one 60-second timeout where they can call their coaches onto the ice for consultation. Peterman with an opportunity to hit and flop behind the guard. There's the hit right in the nose.
Just want to be careful they didn't jam that back one. We'll leave a short little roll.
So that stone's moving a little bit further forward in the house, so helps the Japanese a bit if they can hide a corner. There's the hit. There's the roll. We've seen it all week from this Japanese team. They do a great job of controlling hit and rolls on these little down weight shots. Half buried.
I think this Japanese team has been the most effective using the word managing stones and managing sweeping. And sweeping to get curls, sweeping to hold the line, and sweeping on draws. See a lot of broom switching. Make sure you have the right head, which different fabric they have on it.
And importantly, their sweeping technique is really sound. They generate enormous brush head speed, and they sweep at the right times as well. Blows it by that stone, so a little opportunity here for some Ken Watson curling for the Japanese. Amy Nixon removes the guard but blows it by the shot rock. There we see, just squeaking it by that Japanese stone.
Sorry, I thought that would curl.
Well, funny enough, we talked about who Aki's position at the thirds. Chinami Yoshida, top of the thirds among percentage-wise. Amy Nixon, fifth.
Like this on the tee line if they could, or just in front of it. The stone looks to have plenty of weight. Nice shot there from Yoshida.
Leaves them even, as some say, bedposts them. Leaves them even in the house. Just one more point on Yoshida and her percentage. She's at 90% on the event. She's had a 100% game, and she's +7 in a statistic that's whether you curled 5% or more than your opponent at that position. They played 10 games, so she's +7 with only one minus, and she curled 93 with that minus.
Well, that is statistically as dominant as you can be at your playing position. Most of us dream of having games in the 90s. Yoshida makes it a fairly regular occurrence at the challenging third position. We're worried about this one, though. Will they keep the shooter in the rings?
Well.
Just stays. Great sweeping by the Japanese front end. Just holding that one. So that's a couple that the Japanese have been a little fooled by in this first end. Sweeping this one coast to coast. And that nice down weight that they play saves the shooter.
And of course, the draw random and what sheet you were on. Obviously, you're going to play on a couple of sheets more than the others. This is the second game on sheet D for Japan, the fourth for Canada. Every sheet has their little nuances, little spots. See if Canada utilize that.
That's true. So, speaking with head ice technician Jamie Barassa, he said the floor here at the iPlex it's like an inverted plate, slightly higher in the middle than it is on the side, so the ice is slightly thicker out there on sheet D. Saying that, conditions have been pretty true right across the board.
Trying to roll it in front.
But no, rolls away. So it's a couple times the Canadians have been fooled by that outturn. It's floated on them. Now
Nope.
Chelsea Carey saying, I'd rather throw the other turn, so she's seen enough of that outturn now.
Was Amy trying to sweep there to avoid the jam? It
I think
seemed
so.
like the experience there. Avoid giving up a chance at 3. There's the sweep at the end to try and hold the line.
Yes, a jam would have been disastrous for the Canadians. So the Canadians puzzled a little bit by the rock movement, but a big chance here for the Japanese with the hammer. Oh, Fujisawa thinks she's heavy.
I'll want to split the rings, not leave Chelsea Carey a chance to hit and roll, bunch them together, make a deuce tough.
So Chelsea Carey After seeing that out turn of hers float, she doesn't want to have any part of that, so she's not going to try and make a long crosshouse double. Just going to hit that Japanese stone in the back of the 12-foot. So good chance here for the Japanese to score 2.
Yeah. How hard are you throwing? Just normal. Okay. That's what hers was. Yeah. All right, Chelsea. Nice serve here. Okay. Right to the nose or a little low your way, Chelsea. Just make her stick at least. Sounds good. You got her.
Well, Japan trying to continue their hammer efficiency. 46%.
Yep.
Multiple points with the hammer in this event.
That's really high.
Clean. Whoa, no. Yep. Clean at 10. Whoa.
Next highest is 35, so just well above the field. One of the reasons they sit at the top of the standings.
Nose hit there from Chelsea Carey. But now an open hit for 2 for Satsuki Fujisawa.
Okay. Nice one. Nice. Okay, this one is sharp. It's all messy, but it's Okay. Push new day. Okay.
Well, they couldn't have asked for a better start to this game. Japan makes a pretty good roll, forces the tough run back, missed by Amy Nixon, and that's where we sit.
This is where this rock management of the Japanese team comes into play. Down weight, and they control this path really well. Right on the nose, and it's 2 points for Japan. They're off to the races.
Convert again. So Japan, the early 2-0 lead. It's the 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship from Swift Current, Canada. Well, welcome back here to the second end of Credit Union IPLEX. Luke Coley, Hans Frauenlob. Thanks for tuning in for Draw 16, second to last of round robin play. 5 teams still alive for the playoff round. Find out if we're going to need tiebreaker. We know at most there'll be 1 tiebreaker game. That's all that will be available with 5 teams still with World Championship titles, aspirations.
Well, Japan throws that first one into the rings after scoring that deuce, and so Chelsea Carey deciding if they want to go on offense, and it does look like they're going to try a corner guard. But you're right, Luke. 5 teams are still in the hunt, and spent our lunchtime looking at the various combinations and permutations of what could happen.
And then we flipped a coin to see what we thought was going to happen, and it was different.
That's right, but there is one combination of results that could mean a 5-way tie at 8-3. That's one possibility. Well,
that corner guard slides in, and that's not going to help try and generate offense back.
Said 3-3 actually, maybe.
So we talked about Japan's hammer efficiency, scoring multiple points with the hammer. With this stone coming into the rings, let's see how they do with force efficiency. So
They're at 43% on that. Not to overwhelm you with numbers, but
that's pretty impressive as well.
there's not much to argue when you see those numbers go up, because they're well above the field in both those numbers.
So it doesn't take a genius to figure out that if you score 2 regularly with the hammer and you're holding your opponent to 1, most of the time you're going to walk off the ice with a W.
Careful, careful. 3. Looks like lots.
Which, as I've said a couple of times this week, Luke, is truly the only statistic that matters.
Yeah, 15.
Good.
Girl.
Well, that one comes to rest. The guard is out in front.
So Japan lies 2.
Let's keep you up to date all the other games. Switzerland at 7-2, same record as Canada. They control their destiny. Right now taking on Italy and Federica Apollonio, their last game of round robin play. Trying to play spoiler, but Binya Felcher, 2014 champ, Switzerland, the 2-time reigning world championship nation, has a draw for 2.
Tough draw for 2, looks like. Looks like she needs a good piece of the forefoot, and she doesn't have much house to draw to. Looks like they get a little flick. Oh, she got pretty fortunate there, I'd say, Luke.
Well, fortunate enough to get there 2, and they have a 2-0 lead over on sheet A.
Well, it's not how, it's how many, and it's 2 for Switzerland.
Pretty high.
Hard then.
2. Easily not
Take
bad.
a look.
It's fine. It should be fine, but it's
We've seen a lot of this
super
Japanese
tight.
team
It's
this
starting
week,
to
and
die
I've
now.
I think it's in.
commented that they
No.
tend to make good shot decisions, good percentage decisions.
Okay.
So Japan immediately running off guards.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Here's Japanese coach J.D. Lind. He's been with this program for about 3 years. He is Canadian from Alberta,
Okay.
but young coach, young team. They're developing together, really. So Japan lying 2 now, shifting gears slightly. That red stone's in a place where they feel a little less comfortable trying to run it off, so they're going to play a draw, guarding their shot. The Yoshida's working this one, trying to get it to curl. Strides across the center line, but leaves the shot rock open, so Canada won't mind
We'll be
that.
back to you, though.
We don't have to. I don't mind the draw, but
Some hesitation there. That's
my gut is draw, but we can hit for sure. It's just that if we hit and roll, it's what do you like?
Yeah, I don't mind this.
Yeah,
I like that.
The hit.
Which
But
turn?
No good place for it, really. Let's do the in, I think, if we're
As
gonna
long
draw.
as we're
better than a second shot, it's a pretty good shot. Okay. So my rocks are a bit quicker, but
there's the Canadian bench. Coach Charlie Thomas,
I like it.
alternate Susan O'Connor,
Yeah.
and team
Yeah.
leader Elaine Dag-Jackson looking on.
Of course, Charlie Thomas and J.D. Lind,
Former teammates.
former teammates, sitting right beside one another. I'm sure they'll be having some conversations throughout the game. As J.D. talking before, was quite excited for this matchup. Records aside, knowing that get to coach against
Line looks heavy.
former teammate, good buddy, and also good friends
Then
with Amy Nixon as well.
Laney. Right over.
Well, here's the sweeping try and get that curl at the end for Lainey Peters. Right to the top of the button, gets shot stone.
So Canada lies 1. We've seen all week this Japanese team, though, very good control of this down weight, this hack weight, maneuvering their stones around guards. Here's Chinami Yoshida. So she'll be playing the out turn. Just try to move that Canadian stone through the rings. working it hard. They're by the guard. Now they're trying to bounce it out a little bit away from those guards. Once again, the Japanese showing great weight control, not quite pushing it out of the rings though, but they do lie 3. So maybe a slight oversweep there from the Japanese. Pushing it on the angle sideways. We see Fujisawa brushing some of the frost off her broom. Here's Amy Nixon.
Here's the sweep. Hold the line. Try and make the roll in front.
Pops across the face and
Good throw, Nick. 10-5.
more than likely accessible on the intern side. There's a port through those 2 guards on the intern for Yoshida. There we got a great view of it.
Do you want to roll underneath the center or roll away?
I would say rolling underneath the center. Good chance now to apply the heat. Now they're working it. That one seemed to really jump on them. Are they by the guard or are they going to crash? Just by the guard. Trying to save the line now. Flops over and just past that back red. So Japan lies 3, but again, players slightly surprised. There seems to be a bit of a jump that they weren't experiencing on other sheets. In this one, life and death to save it, but great sweeping. But now a chance for the Canadians. Problem for Nixon is if she gets on the inside, she's jamming, so more like a straight back double.
They still have some guards to use. Amy will try with this out turn, just move them back a little bit.
Now it's Lainey Peters working it hard.
Gotta go for line. Really gotta go. Hard, 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 hard. Never off, never off, never off, never off, never off.
It's going to be on the inside of the rock, flopping over and across.
3-1.
Again, not bad, but trying to be precise, set up a 2. Unable to make that now open and accessible for Japan.
Virtually the same path that Chinami Yoshida just threw down.
Well, still early on in this game, but an early advantage to Japan and that 3rd position. That'll be one to watch. Who can make that shot to set up? And numerous times throughout the week, Yoshida has made that for their team. And Amy Nixon as well for hers.
That's right, but this Japanese team statistically solid right up and down the lineup. Big shot here for Fujisawa. Trying to get this stone now to finish for a little inside roll. Can they get that? Pretty much on the beak. Japan's line 4.
Well, there's a bit of a pocket now. I think a roll would have been real nice. Sitting there to lie 4. This one a must make here for Chelsea Carey as she heads down. We'll take a look. Denmark trying to play spoiler, do a favor to some teams as Russia 7-3. Their last game in round robin.
Well, Lenny Nilsson's team was one of only 2 teams to beat this Japanese team this week, and they've got an opportunity to knock over another one of the giants here. Russians with playoff aspirations, and here's a draw for 2, which she makes, and so Denmark with an early 2-0 lead.
Well, they looked at it for a second, possibly 3, but
yeah.
it's only a deuce. Still an early lead for Denmark, capitalizing with the hammer.
But now Chelsea Carey, big shot for her.
Well, get by.
Is it going to overcurl? It does.
Second shot as it rolls over the top.
Sorry, theirs didn't.
Just snuck by that guard. Real late finish.
Theirs didn't really do it though, so I just thought we needed to.
I think the weight difference maybe. But I thought you were great.
Canadians a bit surprised by how much it finished in the last 10 feet of the shot.
From that.
So now the pocket that was available to Carey is now available to Fujisawa. Very inviting to come on this in-turn side and just drill one on the lid. It'd be good angles for the Japanese.
あー反対から見えたらダブルあるんだ。あー、オッケー。4秒。ゆりかのが82だった曲がりすぎたやつが。
In-turn draw. Take a look at the split time. You should be looking for about 14.2, 14.3 seconds for a split time, hog to hog.
だいぶいいよ。です。だいぶいいよ。ちょっとまっすぐだわ。5分と3分の2だよ。ウェイトいいよ。です。です。
Right on the money.
Well, I've seen that time be pretty consistent throughout the week. Top of the forefoot, lie
shot.
two.
Nice shot. Carey saying, can I push 2 stones here and maybe get 2 that way?
Can I make it off this for one?
The answer is no, so now she's looking at a jump off the red.
No, can't. You're just going to go in the box.
Can you play quiet enough to play the out turn around and make the nose?
Let's listen.
I don't think it's there. You gotta throw at least, you gotta throw more than bumper because this is jamming here.
Yeah.
So you gotta throw enough to get it off of there. There's no way.
Very good angles for the Japanese.
Even if I throw this with weight, you don't think I could get in there? Like come off and in?
I think Chelsea really wants to throw at that red one.
Because to get here, you're on this, right? So you're going to be here. And then it goes into the back of that. Which might be, I guess, not the end of the world. It might punch it in the
Well, yeah, I'm thinking maybe you wiggle in. It's our best chance not to give up 2 is what I'm thinking.
I know. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking the only, I don't know if it's there or not if you can wiggle off the back of this 6, but I'm thinking you throw some weight at this one.
Oh, okay. Like, I don't know what else we got, Josh. You don't think you can make this?
No, because it's jamming here, so you need to throw more than bumper, and even with bumper, I'm not sure you get to the nose, right? Because it's just going to nut jam right there, and it's going to outcount that one.
All right.
So we talked about stone positions and the angles for the Japanese, and the way that these are set up.
Weight. If you're going to do it, you got to throw weight so
So
it comes
like
off the
easy,
back.
and I don't think we can get to the nose with easy. I mean, we could try it if you hit, as long as you make contact with this one,
Yes.
they're only getting 1.
Or the cold in-turn draw right to the lid.
I think that's...
And even that's tough because to make that, they'd have to come very close to that red stone
Yeah, I do.
just beneath the Ford logo. So I think she's going back to her original first instinct. Going to try and 3/4 the inside of that red one with big weight, which Chelsea Carey is probably, I would say, one of the best throwers in the field of the big weight. But she's going to have to be precise, a little bit full, and she could wind up giving up
I have to throw easy to have any chance.
maybe
of making
3,
it.
2 for sure.
So throw easy, get by the guard, and then just go.
Okay, okay.
We
Okay.
can't make it with any less weight than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's easy weight, so it's not going to be a runner, but will be the control type of weight.
Okay, Charles. Nice throw here.
Not really the start she wanted in this one.
Tough shot.
Final stone of this second end for Chelsea Carey.
Yeah. Big easy. Yes.
Nixon calls them on right away. She might be tight.
Really hard, ladies. Whoa.
Well said, got to get by.
Is she on the front guard? Yes,
Not
she is.
passed, and
And
it
it's
is
a
a steal of 2 in this second end.
Well, what a start for the Japanese and what a catastrophe for the Canadians. Wrecking on the center guard, and Japan steals 2.
What a start, and it is quiet here in the Credit Union Iplex. Stunned as Japan leads 4-0.
It's on. Like Donkey Kong.
Well, what a start. Continues. 4-0. Japan leading Canada. 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship.
This is so like this morning in this morning's game. If it was a prize fight, the Japanese would have come out of the corner just flailing. After 3 ends, the Scottish team was reeling, wondering what was happening. And the same thing has happened to this Canadian team. 2 ends of play and bang, you're down 4-0. This Japanese team has been so impressive. They get stones into great places, and if you don't execute against them, you can get in big trouble in a hurry.
Not moving. You could sweep. Not moving at all. Curling pretty hard. Looks light to me.
Keep going, keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going, go, go, go.
Long corner guard for Lainey Peters.
Yeah.
So not nice over there? Oh, no, it's nice. Just under through it.
So corner guard out in front.
Yorita Yoshida. It's funny in a curling game. You try to score with the hammer and damage control without it, but sometimes you can find yourself up a reasonable margin early in the game and all of a sudden you have to change gear yourself. It's a little bit early for the Japanese to start playing the scoreboard.
Well, I can't let off the gas pedal. We've seen them hold on to some leads throughout the week. They'll need to do that again. Sometimes does it creep into your mind, up 4-0 after 2 ends, and
well, you're still playing the force anyways, but in this situation, you know that the Canadians are going to be ultra aggressive trying to get a deuce, so
Careful.
your natural inclination is to be more defensive in response.
And there's no doubt Japan knows where they sit if they win. They know they're in that 1-2 game. They can finish first if Switzerland loses 1 of 2 games today, or they could finish second even if Switzerland wins both their games.
Well, that's right, and we were talking to Japanese skip Fujisawa after their games yesterday and asking her, you know you're going to have a tough day tomorrow, 2 tough games against Scotland and Canada, but she acknowledged that these are both great teams, but said that her team is just going to stick with the program, approach those 2 games like every other game, and so far, that's paying off.
And look over Denmark and Russia. Denmark with that deuce in the first.
Look at all those stones clustered.
Yeah, all around in the forefoot. Looks like shot stone belongs to Russia at the moment. And Anna Sidorova, her last round robin game needs a win. Trying to draw for a second point.
Well, has to stop in the forefoot, does it? No, it slides back and through the forefoot, so it's only 1 for the Russians.
Well, if you're Canada and you look over, you like to see that. One of the other teams in the playoff picture losing.
Well, there's a nice shot from Jocelyn Peterman getting around that corner, but I don't imagine that the Canadian team is doing a lot of scoreboard watching right now, except for their own. They've got everything they can handle from this Japanese team.
Yumi Suzuki, peel the corner guard. See the hand motions as well by the Japanese side. Sweepers with their heads up.
And that's good coaching. Sometimes in round robin games when the fans are a little bit quieter, you can use voice communications, but when the crowds get bigger later in the week and the crowds get more enthusiastic and noisier, sometimes you just can't hear a sweeping call, so you do have to resort to hand signals sometimes just to know.
Line's good. 2.
For some of us older guys, we just get hard of hearing.
Room. 2. Just high. Okay, hard then. Line's nice.
So there'll be lots of hand signals at the upcoming Seniors Championship?
Yeah, it's like an American Sign Language convention.
I'll put up the guard. I don't know if it protects that one. See what Japan elects to play now.
Tempting for the Japanese. You can play either or, really. They can see about 3/4 of that stone. They want to play enough weight that if they're narrow, they clip the front guard.
どっちでもいい。どっちがいいんだろう。どっちがいい。
Yoshida confirming how much of that stone she can see. There we get a great look at it. About half a rock.
Well, Chinami Yoshida. Oh, pass the front, get rid of that stone.
Roll it over to the edge of the 12-foot. Just out of the rings. Japan line 2.
Or does this?
So there's that red corner guard the Canadians are hoping to use.
Okay. So like that 3-5.
But they're going to have to eliminate a Japanese stone along the way. Amy Nixon.
I need to get that spark plug. She's definitely the spark plug of this team. And
Well, sometimes it can just turn on one shot.
9.
Well then.
Running right now. 8.
Joss. Joss.
Whoa, whoa.
Just 7.
Close.
Lane 8.
Yep.
It's going to come right on the nose of that top one, I think, Luke. Just slightly pushes it back.
Good shot.
yeah, they couldn't really go. You hear the line running, meaning it's not curling at all. And once it took the curl,
But it's in a pretty interesting spot. It's going to be very difficult for the Japanese to remove this without disturbing one of their own stones. So Japan playing the percentages says, okay, let's run the corner guard.
you wouldn't think this team is in their first World Championship as a team. Fujisawa second as a skip, but just in their 20s and just very.
I love their decision making. They size it up. They do the risk reward calculations in their minds really quickly, make the call, and then they go and throw it. You can credit the coach, but really, we spoke with Coach Lind early in the tournament, and he told me this year, you know, the team transitioned from kind of waiting for some strategic direction from somebody else to making the decisions themselves. So they're very much in charge out there.
And we have seen in their timeouts they've asked for input as well. Just what do you think? Just an extra voice.
Hard, guys. Hard, hard.
2 red stones there, but possible for them to be doubled off. Might jam that back yellow one.
Sorry, Lainey, I'm taking your rocks.
Amy Nixon.
Doing some rock swapping.
So that tells me there's some frustration creeping in from Amy Nixon already. She's not happy with where her shots are going.
Way more, like not way more. More.
Same weight as your first
Does
one, a little bit of money.
that stone going there actually make it easier to get rid of both of them than if they're just the one? Because you knows it, you probably can avoid touching either of them.
Well, if you hit it high side, the top rock is just going to roll in front of the shot rock, and that'll be an easy run back for the Canadians. Of course, if you cross face and miss the back red stone altogether, it's disaster. You just jam it on your own. So even though this looks like a pretty straightforward double takeout, it's full of risk for the Japanese. If you're going to make a mistake, you make the mistake high side. At least get rid of one.
これこっちに動かしたいんだったらこっちの方がいい。ああ、いいよ。ね、うん。あ、いいよ。
By high side, we mean the side where the brush is. She'll be looking to be just off nose. Oh, big weight. Really threw that one hard. Wide-eyed Satsuki Fujisawa. What's the contact point? And
Well,
there
over
they
the top.
fly. It's a race to the edge of the house. Does it spin out?
It
Oh, what a
does,
great result for Fujisawa.
as they just sort of pick the rock up and leaves a bit of a pocket. It's still great shot by Japan.
Oh, great shot
Canada
by Japan.
knows they have to make a freeze now.
Watch these stones spinning to the side of the house. It's a race.
Here's a good look.
Here's a look from the overhead. Red stone, yellow stone squeezing against the other one, and it spins up and out. Wow.
Even if it's it's a foot short of it, it's not bad. We don't really want to move either one of them.
So what that accomplishes for the Japanese is it reduces the risk of dropping 3.
Slow here?
Chelsea Carey.
Well, you saw Amy's 13.5s, right?
Well, yeah, we slowed it down a little bit, but it was still probably T-line, hey? So like 80?
Yeah, 80, 85. You got it, Chelsea. Okay.
Positive release.
It's there. It's good. Really nice weight. To it. Just. Slowing down. Gotta go.
Gotta go!
No. Gotta go.
Gotta go!
Straight to it. Little bump. Just a little bump.
Well, they want to be right in the pocket of them. Just a little bump. Is that enough, though?
Well, pretty tempting to just try and slam it between those 2 yellow stones.
Good throw. Nice throw. Exactly what I asked for.
Okay.
She's saying, yeah, if we hit the back one, it's probably not so bad. Might lose it, but I'd like to hit the stone exactly where Chinami Yoshida's got her brush. There we see the hole between the stones. Just about a stone width. You could theoretically pop it right between the 2.
There's just enough room to slide a rock, but you could probably smash it off the back one.
Now the good news is, unless she hits a quarter of a stone either side, which would be really bad, the risk of a jam is pretty low. I mean, jam and stick. Risk of stuffing the Canadian stone. There we see it. There's the brush from Yoshida.
Well, another heater from Fujisawa.
Trying to hold the line now.
Through the hole.
Does it squirt out of the rings?
Not
No.
quite. Still leaves them lying 2.
So
There is an opportunity for a deuce.
there is a chance for a deuce here for the Canadians. Tough shot, though. Yeah, heard Chelsea say, I'll try it. Problem is trying to throw that double takeout. Do you save your shooter or do you lose it?
Can't overthrow it because you got to hit the angle.
Double at least, and then if the shooter sticks, it sticks.
I know.
Probably got to throw like easy to have a chance, eh?
I agree.
Well, you know,
Half a
it's,
rock.
Yes.
they're really worried about
Here,
losing the
left.
shooter, but the angles aren't so bad.
If it's not making it, just get off it quick, and we can get one.
So the Canadians are quite worried about just scoring at this point.
Well, pivotal, they have to. They're down 4-0.
Yeah, you
Can't just score singles.
I don't
No.
know if we can stick the shooter, but we got to try it, I think.
And if you give up a steal, well, gosh, long road back. So,
If it takes the curl early, we'll just get off it and stick it for 1.
so safety first for Chelsea Carey. She wants the 2, but she really wants to score 1.
Nice throw here. Just easy. Yep.
Yep.
Hard. Yep. Hard.
See them going early on it
Yep. Okay, good enough.
just to get their 1. It will overcurl. They'll take their 1. Canada's on the board. Just that single point.
Close. Good sweep.
4-1. Japan leads.
Nice weight.
They get the hammer back, looking to extend it into the 4th.
Yeah. Felt like that was minimal ice, but you got to make sure we're not.
Yeah. So you want my rock?
Well, welcome back to the 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship. Lukoli, Hans Frauenlob. And Japan comes out of the gates flying, gets the force in the third, has the hammer back.
Well, I think they've got this Canadian team a bit rattled as well, Luke, just hearing the players talking before this first shot by Lene Peters, talking about rocks running a bit differently, and as soon as you're talking about the rocks, then you know that something is in your head.
And this is the fourth time Canada's played on this sheet, just Japan's second. You'd think maybe it would be advantage Canada there. Japan with the hammer, they want to avoid the steal, which Canada's done 28% of the time without the hammer when they're trying to steal. Well, as Japan, 46% of the time, they're scoring multiple points with the hammer. That's an unbelievable number.
Certainly is, and we're seeing Japan's response to the center guard, which we've seen in many games. They're not afraid to go around that center guard themselves with the hammer. So here's Yorika Yoshida trying to zip one around. Clips it, but now it's two corner guards. Well, not quite a corner guard. Stone's still on the center.
Line's close.
There's the birthday girl.
Not really the start to a birthday on the ice that she wanted.
Line's good. Curling now. Over curling, over and
And
over.
all of a sudden taking some stones from another player and trying to
Good, Laney.
get things going.
7-5.
So we're still in the free guard zone part of the end, so Japan can't run these guards yet. So Fujisawa indicating that she wants something like backline weight, so looks like a tick attempt.
Tick on the top one.
Tick on the top one by the looks of it. Just trying to move that stone off the center line. Looks a bit more than backline. Oh, that works. Look at this.
When things are going, they're going your way. Tick, push your own in, and partially blocks off that intern draw.
Let's see, what do we call that? An angle tick raise. Look at this. Flicks the red, that's job one, but here's job two. Let's promote our own behind the guard while we're at it.
Let's call it the Eureka.
That's the Eureka. Okay.
Can't say
Eureka.
Yoshida because two Yoshidas
That's
on
right.
the team.
Okay, that's the Eureka. We've had the Weagle. That's the Eureka.
Line close.
Take a look, right to it.
Room. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Just to it. No.
No, line looks heavy.
Past it.
No, you're on it already. Laney, go.
So this Canadian team really struggling to find the right line.
It's good.
Over curling often, but
4-8.
frozen tight to that shot stone, so Japan's going to have to do something to move it, but they did want to go around.
Looking to run that guard in on it.
Looks to me like they're going to try and run that red guard almost straight back and try to pick the red off as well. The audacity.
Well, runs it back, rolls to a corner.
It's a bit of a safer place for them. So not quite the run back pick, which I thought was a pretty brave thing to even look at, but
Yeah, I mean, either that or you guard it. Yeah, my first.
Yeah, but we can't draw right now.
Yeah. I feel it though.
the Canadians already acknowledging that the peels are coming soon.
This will be heavy, same for like 4-2. 4.
And we'll look over Denmark-Russia. 2-1. And Denmark trying to knock off Russia, give them a fourth loss.
Coming this way.
Lene Nielsen has facing shot stone belonging to Russia. Little raise if she can stick it. It's for 2. Pick it out and get her point with the hammer.
Tough shot.
Looks really close. Stick it.
Oh, just rolls away, but it looks like a 1 for Nielsen.
So 3-1 after 3 in that game.
So everybody who thought that the Janes would just mail this one in, no way. They're battling.
And every game, even though you're trying to play spoiler as well, Olympic qualification points based on your standings. So
Very true.
coming in, Denmark with that 4-5 record, a 5-5 record, and then one more game tonight, they'll play Germany. They could finish 6-5 and sit in good standing heading into the second round of the qualifying at next year's World Championship.
That's right, the way that the Olympic qualification is working for this Olympic cycle, only 7 countries will qualify through ranking point performance at Worlds to go straight into the field at the games. So yep, every game matters. Now we see Fujisawa asking her third player, Chinami Yoshida, to come down to consult.
とりあえずまずセンターは絶対なくした方がいいと思うんだよね。トップで厚くやるか。
So that stone in the back 8 puts in a pretty good place. They want to open up the control zone for themselves. So they're going to ask Yumi Suzuki, try and peel off that red stone. She's going to lose the back yellow, and they hope that the red stone squirts sideways and out of the rings.
Yumi Suzuki better than that so far in the game at 93%. Get it out.
Perfect.
Went with ease. Throw it like that, it'll go just out the side. Hans, you talked about the Olympic qualification points. Even bigger for Japan this year, the event they're having, knowing there's no guarantee they make it to the World Championships next year because only one team out of that Pacific region qualifies, with China hosting.
That's right, because China hosts the next Asia Pacific Championships. Only one qualification place at stake out of the Pacific Asia region, which is getting more and more competitive every year. So you're right, every point matters.
Plus, getting to the playoffs isn't a bad thing at all either.
Absolutely. Tight to the rings for the Canadians. They lie 1. See Amy Nixon looking to get it rolling. Fujisawa just asking Chinami Yoshida, how much of that back one can you see? Looking at the angles for the double as well. Could double these off and roll behind the other guard. Or play the in turn around the yellow stone. Looks like the play's on the front rock. And we see just off the rings. But it does represent danger.
There's that 90% on the event so far for Yoshida, and the key to this Japanese team.
There's one. Has she got the double? No, she goes past it and rolls out. So probably have to call that one a half shot. They would have liked to at least either make the double or save their shooter. So a good chance here for the Canadians to apply some gentle pressure, and I say gentle only because the stone's off on the wing. Here's Amy Nixon.
Line's good.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Japan doesn't want to get too much in a position where you're thinking just avoid the steal and make sure you score 1. They want to try and score multiple again.
Definitely.
It's over curling.
Made an early attempt around the center guard right at the beginning of the end, but nothing really getting set up for the Japanese. This will be interesting, though, because those 2 guards are now stacked a little bit to where the Japanese could either go around them, but it looks to me like Fujisawa is saying, let's just clear them. See the angles. Trying to kill both of those guards.
Well, Go over the top. Oh, missed the
Almost.
second one.
Almost went over the top to push their own stone forward.
ストレート結構効いちゃうね。落ちちゃう。
Yeah. My rocks are quicker though.
落ちるね。
Like 14.5. So like
So now Chelsea Carey trying to zip another one in there. At least generate the
I think
force.
the path is faster.
最後ドローになるかもしれないから。
A little nicer here.
Yeah, force here, then Canada gets a deuce, then you're cutting into that lead.
Yep.
Bring it 14 and a half.
Well, especially when you've seen the Japanese scoring multiple points so often.
Short's the miss.
A force, I'm sure, feels like a moral victory.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Even if it's T-line, it's not awful.
Sounds good.
So, I gave you an 80. I probably need to give you a 90, 95.
Yeah.
Like it?
Yeah, 95. You gave us 85 last time.
Okay.
So I like 95. You got it,
Okay.
Chelsea.
Well, really tough to steal against this Japanese team. They've only given up a steal twice in this entire event.
Close. 106. Okay. How is it? It's just Line's good. Line's good.
Line's good. Whoa.
Line's good.
Yep, line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hard.
Good looking stone if they're by. Might be a little bit light, but not bad.
Laney Peters really going on this one.
Feathers the front. Comes up short. Heard them saying they wanted 95 and they got 106. That's the split time on the stopwatch.
We would have been close, eh?
Yeah, 106.
Okay.
半分見えてもいいかな。
106 equating to 4.06 seconds from the back line to the hog line.
さっちゃん。あ、プラス何か交換。
Chelsea definitely a player that relies on those times, looking at them from her front end. Now Japan will try and get in there as we look over Switzerland, leading 2-0 against Italy. And Federica Apollonio has a chance here, draw for two, after Felcher over-curled on her hit and didn't remove it.
Well, we talked about the Danes not rolling over in this draw against the Russians and the Italians carrying a 1-9 record into this game, but here's a chance for Federica Apollonio to tie this game up. And with the whole house to draw to, she does just that, and that one's tied. Well, well.
So looking for a second win. Move up in the standings over on sheet A. Oh, just past that corner.
Trying to get this thing to curl and bury hard, but I'm not sure that it's actually going to curl enough. Maybe half buried? Yeah.
I think I can take that much ice though, can I? I'm thinking like that for me.
So good weight there from Fujisawa, but a little bit of a wide line. So a good chance for Chelsea Carey to weld one right on top. Get the force and maybe a steal.
Right to it.
Steal would be huge for the Canadians.
Got a 3.9 on hers. Yeah. Should slide better.
Not so much in terms of scoreboard, but just in terms of momentum and confidence.
Yeah.
体感速度 4.1
No, yeah.
So it's still 95, or do I need more than that?
No, I like it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, again, there's that time.
Well, and I was interested by the way her sweepers answered the question because they knew that she threw a little bit lighter than that on the first one. So rather than a negative reinforcement saying you needed a bit more than the one on the last one, she said 95 is the right number.
Just that positive reinforcement.
Oh, it's good awareness.
The
there for
mentality.
that. Yeah.
Last thing you hear before you throw your stone.
Oh, line's good. Lady. 9. 2.
Definitely got enough weight this time.
Just trying to get this one to work to the center, trying to get it to curl. And a little bounce.
Well, have they left the door open for the Japanese to sneak another one in there and maybe push it back and get two?
Don't think her weight was bad. It was just a matter of they had to.
She could afford to come to it, and we've just seen this so much this week that give this Japanese team an opportunity to do something with the stone with a little bit of separation between them like these two stones, and they can work magic. So great chance here. Tough shot. Sure they're going to be thinking mainly about making their one, but chance here to score two, and if they were to score two on this end, it'd be a huge momentum builder for the Japanese. Tough shot though. To make it two, she has to get very tight to that guard.
Well, final stone of this fourth end, Satsuki Fujisawa. A win, she's in the 1-2 game in the playoffs.
Lots of weight. She's by.
Well, quietly come down.
2
Made
points
that
for
look
Japan.
easy.
Wow.
Very nice.
A skip's deuce from Satsuki Fujisawa. She's been on absolute fire all week.
Now a 5-point lead for Japan through just 4 ends of play of their final round robin game. A win, guarantee a playoff spot, and a second life in the playoffs in that page 1-2 game. They're well on their way, leading 6-1.
Welcome back to the Credit Union Iplex here in Swift Current, Saskatchewan, the home of the 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championships. Hometown Canadians against the Japanese, and the hometown crowd is stunned at this point. Japan with another great deuce with the hammer, and they're leading this one 6-1 after 4 ends of play. So after demolishing Scotland this morning by 10-4 in 7 ends, the Japanese are continuing that hot streak, leading this one 6-1 early in the going. We've talked about hammer efficiency for this Japanese team, their ability to score multiple points with the hammer. Satsuki Fujisawa in the 4th end giving us another example, a delicate little chance here. Just trying to throw back 8-foot weight to get across the face of that Canadian stone. Perfectly controlled and read by the sweepers. Perfect weight, and bang, another deuce for the Japanese.
Yeah, go early on it, hold the line a little bit, let it curl at the end, and sweep if you need to. Didn't really have to do much of that sweeping near the end.
Yeah, made that look easy.
Yeah, Canada had it set up quite nicely, had it look like they were in a forced position. And
well, we talked about anytime you leave a little gap between the stones for the Japanese, they can seem to maneuver things around to a way that makes it a great result for them. So if you're not welded and tightly frozen, big trouble. So Canada throws the corner guard. They need to stay patient, but they're down 5. They need a deuce desperately here in the 5th.
well, they'll pull out all the stops now.
No doubt. And this game is looking eerily similar to the game this morning when Japan did a similar demolition job on the Scots.
They've also done that to Russia, a potential playoff team.
It's quite amazing, but this morning the Scots got behind. Eve Muirhead said, we got to go for a steal. And then Japan punished him, took a 4.
Look over Denmark, Russia, and Russia trying to tie things up. The chance here, a little tap, and they can score 2 and tie things up.
Anna Sidorova. Bronze medalist at the Worlds last year and the current European champion.
Two-time reigning bronze medalist at the Worlds. More expectations trying to look at a potential trip to the final.
Nice shot.
And they are all knotted up at 3 right next door. That's on sheet C.
Yumi Suzuki, the pocket rocket peeling machine, rips another corner guard. Here's Jocelyn Peterman.
Canada right now going to be having nightmares of the number 2.
Yeah, looking at that scoreboard, there's a lot of them facing them.
Line's good.
Gotta go.
Right back.
Still, gotta go all the way.
Tight as you can.
Lainey Peters working this, but this one looks like it's diving over.
Okay,
Okay, line's
easy
good.
now,
Line's
easy.
good.
They are by the guard. Well swept.
Just looking
Very
for
nice,
a
Joss.
come around with a tight guard.
So Canada trying to build up some granite in front of the house that they can use later.
One's a glider. So you put that and then throw after it mine.
Another peel. Good percentage play by the Japanese team. Yumi Suzuki having a great tournament. As are all of her teammates, really.
That'd be quite the season, making it to the playoffs here.
It's okay.
For the first time for a Japanese team since Mo Meguro in 2008.
Whoa, okay, you're good, you're good, you're good.
And also first time in
There,
10
one
years,
more. 8 foot, guys.
Japanese women's team winning the Pacific Asian Championship.
9. Yeah, you're right.
Wouldn't it be something to go Pacific Asian champion and world champion? Obviously a few games to go for them to do that.
Nice. 3-9.
Well, that's true. And
3-9,
of
yeah.
course, coming from New Zealand as I do and having competed in that part of the world, it's been interesting over the years to see the increasing strength developing in curling nations in my part of the world. Japan in the 1990s dominated Pacific curling, and then with the advent of the Olympics,
I'll play the run back.
oh, trying to squirt it off the rings.
Not
Just
quite.
hangs on.
I'll risk playing that because you now leave the guard also out in front.
Yes, you do, but Japan is lying 2 stones, however. Needed to hit this one just a fraction higher. Slams it. So the Korean teams, the Chinese teams have been getting better. New Zealand and Australia and Chinese Taipei, of course, and now Kazakhstan competing in that region, as well as Hong Kong this year. But now the reemergence of Japanese women's curling. Women's curling teams are incredibly popular in Japan. There's a television crew here from Japan beaming the pictures back to Japan. Very popular team.
Now, very nice come around here by Team Canada, though. Amy Nixon
Great shot.
puts that one right around the guard.
So a decision time now for the Japanese. Do you follow that one down or do you run back the corner guard? Okay. Fujisawa saying, well, let's run it back, and we've got a plan A and a plan B here. Straight back on the shot rock, or hit it a bit high and hit the one in the back. Wants to eliminate at least one of the Canadian stones.
Small percentage, you could get both, but right now just get one.
One of them is important. They don't want to miss them both.
Well, pretty close to both.
Oh, man, double takeout. Unbelievable.
I said a small percentage, not what they were playing, and it ends up.
Oh, what a great result. Chinami Yoshida does it again, and Amy Nixon asking for a technical timeout. Let's listen. Look at this. Thin raise double.
Oh, is that with her a piece for her shoe?
Looks like a bit of an equipment problem for Amy Nixon, so now she knows that everybody's watching as she's running back to the dressing room. So a brief pause here. That gives us an opportunity to share information about some of the other games that are going on. We've got, again, Russia with playoff implications. We've got Denmark trying to play spoiler there. We got the Italians against the Swiss, playoff implications there.
Look at all 4 sheets. Our game, Canada, Japan, both with 2 losses. Japan's last round robin game. We said if a win, they're in the 1-2 game. A loss, depends on what else happens. Canada could finish as low as out, as high as first place if they win both their games. They will play Scotland this evening. Scotland sits a 7-3 record, as does Russia right now, and a 7-2 record for Switzerland. So those are the 5 teams that are in any potential playoff mix. Everyone else playing for standings and Olympic qualification points for their country.
Yep. At the beginning of the week, we said you needed to be 7-4 to be kind of in the hunt or have a sniff of a tiebreaker. The way it's panning out, 8-3 is the safety number. Well, Japan's already got 8 wins.
Charles? Charles?
7-4
Coming around?
Sorry?
Are we just coming around?
may
I
not
think
be
we
enough.
have to hit this now, don't we? Like, I think you got to play this now.
Amy Nixon has sorted her equipment problem.
Now, whether you know this or not, as Amy headed there,
You like
could
tap
Canada have
mix?
used
You
that
wanna
time
hit
to
it
have a
full.
discussion on strategy, or
I think.
is
No,
it
they
one-
couldn't because it was a technical
they
timeout.
couldn't get down there?
Like a
Yeah, the
back
players,
eight,
of course, could
back
talk
eight,
to
back
each other,
eight.
but they couldn't bring the coach
Yeah,
onto the playing
They
field.
could have. They could all been down at the other end and discussed on a decision.
Yes.
A little surprised maybe they didn't take advantage of that.
3.5. I sing in a 3.
Well, not really. I think the game plan for this shot is reasonably clear. There's a stone up in front, so you're going to have to eliminate something of the Japanese pile of granite here. They'll try to maneuver their own stone behind cover somehow.
Think you're a bit light. Yeah, 9, 8.
Canada with the hammer here on the 5th, but they trail at 6-1,
Really gotta go. 7.
so they'll be gambling for a deuce.
Hard. I don't know, Charles. 5.
Hard. Okay, Joss go.
Yep.
Well by.
Yep.
Yep. Right back.
Right back, Joss. Right back.
I'll try and use that late sweeping to get there. Becomes so tough. We've seen so many times trying to get around.
Is that the end of me?
Yeah, you're done.
Amy
Just for
Nixon.
this end, Amy.
Yeah, that's right. It's not the end of you, Amy. But you have thrown your 2 shots. Here's Lainey Peters working it hard, and then we see the switch. Jocelyn Peterman now sweeping it to make it finish and curl hard at the end. Very well swept. Japan is still lying 1. For that red stone. And we'll see Yoshida saying, okay, we'll play to the red, but if we flick the yellow going by, that's okay. Japan in a situation where they'd love to force the Canadians to score 1, but if they did wind up dropping 2, they'd still be up 3 with the hammer. Don't want to give up a 3, however. Trying to finish the stone now to get a piece of the red. Will they flop over as well? Look at that. Great shot.
I'll get rid of it and just continue to eliminate those Canadian stones. Become a very frustrating
Well, we
team
talked
to
about
play against.
Yeah, we talked about the stone management of this Japanese team, and by this, just this little roll that takes the stone away from that area where Canada could freeze to it. Now the Canadians, if they come around that corner guard,
Should play the intern because the out's so straight.
let's listen.
Or do you just go here with the outturn?
Yeah, I like that turn because I think we know it, right? I don't think it'll be quite as folly either.
No, it shouldn't be
here.
as bad here.
I think we're throwing the end.
So they're trying to hit the inside of this stone and get a roll behind the center guard, but the way that they're lined up, they could probably eliminate
Smash it
2
in
of
there and
those.
Try to roll behind the guard.
Yeah, 2 of those 3 Canadian or Japanese stones could go. Maybe all 3. But she's more worried about getting cover behind the guard.
All right, Chelsea. Nice throw here. Nice throw here, Chelsea. Let's go. Yep. Quick. Hard. Quick. Really hard. Real hard.
Need to save their shooter. Spills, though, is it going to spill out of the rings? Yes, it does. So Japan is still lying 2. Trying to roll behind cover, but hit that one a bit too thin. Great chance now for Japan to force. Again, Japan playing the percentages. I like this call. Just throw it on the front of the forefoot. Take away the draw path.
リプラン前の方がいい。そうだね。ここまで。
後ろの真ん中って感じ。
かな。オッケー。読みようでいいか。そうだね。
So this hometown crowd is itching for a chance to burst into cheers for their Canadian team, but so far the Japanese team has them by the throat, not giving them a look in anywhere.
Go. Nice catch. いいよ。です。ラインちょっと曲がりそうだわ。です。3、4。です。4。指だけ。
Suzuki working it hard. This is about mid-guard, tight guard weights. They're kind of trying to drag this up into the rings, but Suzuki's really working it. Will she get a piece? Just short.
Tight guard. They were looking to try and get a little bit deeper.
Yeah, they really wanted that one up in the 8-foot to cut off the 4-foot, so still a tough shot, though.
Canada tempted now to look at blanking an end.
Well, pretty tough blank when you have to double and roll out yourself.
That's spread straight draw, I think.
Yeah,
Okay, this is basically the same path as my freeze there, right?
it is the draw.
Yeah. Okay. Your freeze would have been like a 9.
Yeah. And it was
So if
85.
you're a Canadian curling fan, hold your breath.
I think 14's pretty
This
close
is a
to
draw to stay in the game, really.
On this, they've had trouble this side. This is the fan side of the sheet, where it's been
Let's
maybe a
watch.
little questionable for them. They haven't had that comfort feel. Facing 2, here's Chelsea Carey's last.
Line's good.
97 on the split time, so as far as the stopwatch is concerned, that should be pretty close.
Mine's gonna be okay.
Line's good if weight's good.
Mine's good. Yeah. Careful, careful,
Sweepers
careful.
like it.
4-6.
Need a piece of the forefoot. Waited for the curl. Did they leave it too long? They will just get it there.
Ooh. So a game saver for Chelsea Carey. Draws a piece of the forefoot against 2 Japanese stones, and Canada scores 1, but they trail it 6-2.
That didn't slide quite as nice right in the house.
No. Well, we haven't thrown that shot since my freeze, right? So it's going to be heavy.
Well, an action-packed first half here in the first end. A well-played end for the Japanese and an open hit for Satsuki Fujisawa to get an early jump on this Canadian team. Nice control weight right on the nose, and Japan gets a great start, deucing with the hammer. Then on the second end, Japan lying 2, long center guard. Chelsea Carey attempting a jump shot off that red stone. Difficult shot, a little tight on the line. And she winds up wrecking on the center guard, and a big steal of 2 for the Japanese, giving them a 4-0 lead after 2 ends of play. Then in the fourth, we've talked about the hammer efficiency of this Japanese team, their ability to score multiple points with the hammer. Delicate shot for Fujisawa. Back 8-foot weight, crosses the face of the Canadian stone and cashes in the deuce. And after 5 ends of play, Japan's leading it 6-2.
Well, keeping you up to date, Denmark and Russia. Russia, one of those teams still with playoff life. Denmark lying 1 in the house. Lene Nielsen has a chance here. Needs to hit the rings to get a second point.
Well, it's the second time this game that the Danes have had an open draw. Making it a little bit tougher than they have to. They're getting pretty close to that guard. Sweeper's really working it. And for line distance as well. Has to hit the 12-foot. Oh my goodness. Comes up short.
We say free draw a lot. That one you rarely see missed, but it's only 1 for Denmark. Wow,
so sigh of relief for Anna Sidorova and her Russian teammates. They could have been down 2, but only down 1. And in our other game with playoff implications, Switzerland versus Italy, let's look in there. Game is tied at 2. Switzerland with the hammer. We see at least 1 Swiss stone there in the 4-foot for Binia Felcher.
Well, close of who shot in the back in the 4-foot. And
it's quite a crowd there. Comes up short, so taking a look at it, it's actually 1 yellow.
So a steal of 1.
My.
Italy is the lead.
Well, how do you like that?
Let's look at and you see in the other game, the U.S. leading Finland after 4, ends 4-2 there. While Switzerland, as you said, trails Italy 3-2, and Denmark 1 point advantage over Russia. We're near the midway point of this 16th draw. Japan trying to make the playoffs for the 3rd time in World Championship history for the Japanese women. Both times losing the bronze medal game after losing semifinals. Win here. They're into the 1-2 game.
And there we see the playing stats after 5 ends of play, and the stats reflect the scoreboard. Top stats the most important. Japan leading at 6-2, but Canada only 64% on their hits, getting smoked by the Japanese in that department, and that's probably the difference.
Well, the 1 hit that was missed was Chelsea Carey. Know for certain that led to the 2 points stolen by Japan.
That's right.
Well, Canada and this Chelsea Carey team trying to get to the playoffs as well. They're trying to end a long drought for Canadian women's curling of world titles. They haven't won since 2008. That was the year they beat Japan in the semifinal. Mo Meguro went on to win the championship game there against China. Japan lost the bronze medal game to Switzerland's Miriam Ott.
So the attempted tick here from Yurika Yoshida. She won't make a Yurika on this shot because she hasn't got one of her own to raise in this time, but they are trying the tick. They can move this stone, but they can't knock it out of play. It's thickish on that one, though. Leaves the center guard and pushes the Canadian stone into the rings, but it won't go out of play. It goes behind the tee line.
Not exactly how she wanted to play it, but I'll leave that one in.
She would have liked a little less contact, a better angle. Not so worried about the Canadian stone, but she'll be disappointed that she's left her stone sitting almost on the center line. Japan does have the hammer, however, and they're up 4.
Well, 95% for Lainey Peters.
She's making her contribution to try and get the Canadians through this game. Sweepers are backing off this one, though. Well by the guard. Might pop out the other side.
Okay. 3-6.
Top 8 foot. So Japan now with the hammer and with that guard in front of the rings being their own, electing to make a play on the stone in the rings.
Well, low numbers for Yurika Yoshida, just 68%.
Well, we saw her fan an open hit on the very first shot of the game uncharacteristically, but she stabilized and made some big shots in the second, third, and there's a nice one there, rolling away to the wings and in front of the Canadian stone.
Hands this all out now for Canada?
Pretty much. I mean, if we look at the scoreboard, we've got 5 ends to play. So if you're Japan, you can trade 1s for 2s and you get home. So for the Canadians, you know, if they're going to win this thing, they're going to have to steal a bunch of ends, or if they get the hammer, they're going to have to score not 2s, but they're going to need to score 3s and 4s to really turn this thing around.
Back running. Yeah.
Jocelyn Peterman, a student at the University of Calgary.
That one, 3-8.
We're hoping for a tight guard. It comes into the house, and the longer they keep trying to bring him in, and Japan can stockpile some stones in the side of the house.
Well, and this is that dangerous situation that Eve Muirhead ran into this morning against this Japanese team. Muirhead was behind, went big for the steal. Then the Japanese just got rocks in good places, and all of a sudden, bango, they got a 4. And there we see the Japanese rocks accumulating again. Now they lie first and third at least.
First and second as it spins back.
Okay, well that's a bonus. So here we go again. Japan's accumulating. Canada's kind of keep going around that center guard, and it's a risky play. Canada has to do it, but if they make a tiny, tiny execution error, then the Japanese, if they punish it, could put this game away.
Not bad. Got room. Not bad. That is carry. 4. No. No. No.
Okay, that's okay. 5-2.
Fights front 12. It'll be interesting to see what Fujisawa plays in response. Looks like she's just going to run the center guard. Here's Yumi Suzuki.
Well, just get by it.
Oh, man. Well, a rare miss there from Yumi Suzuki. Blows by the center guard, actually clips the Canadian stone in the 12-foot.
Trying to get the curl to get it, and they just get by to kick that one off the side.
Well, a bit fortunate there. Got something out of what might have been a nothing shot. So, glimmer here for the Canadians. Uncharacteristic miss of a clear there by the Japanese. This one's sliding a little bit deeper into the rings, into the top 8-foot.
4-4.
And again, out in the open.
Well, that stone, unless the stone is tight to the rings 2 or 3 feet, it's really difficult to bury behind it because the stones do finish so hard as they curl. And of course, the counterfactual there is if you come around a tight guard, the Japanese just play runbacks. Tsunami Yoshida playing at 83% here in this game. Trying to remove this Canadian stone and roll it over. Japan lies 3. So just like the Scots this morning, Canada's going to keep coming around that guard. Japan will keep accumulating rocks, and it's either going to be a steal of 1 to Canada or it's going to be 3 or 4 for the Japanese.
And Canada's fine with that. This their best chance to try and come back in the game. Just
well, they've obviously made that decision that that's the way they're going to get home.
Hard for line. Go. We're just gotta get behind it. Okay.
On it. We're on it.
Well, let's see where they angle. Just bump, no overlap. So
no real good angles on those. But again,
chance for the Japanese here to double clear.
it has been that type of game, and I thought Canadians come out a little better than where it sits right now.
Nice shot there by Yoshida, double clear, and there go the guards. Perfect. So now, nowhere to hide for Team Canada except around a stone in the 8-foot circle.
So like a 4-2.
And we talked about the risk, dialing it up.
Around this, I think.
Here's Coach J.D. Lind, alternate Mari Motohashi having a nutritious snack.
On the Canadian side right by, J.D. Lind, Charlie Thomas, two Calgarians sitting next to each other.
8 foot.
Opposite teams, though, this time.
14
Yeah,
two's
but
the
both
miss, but, like,
obviously-
can't leave her a 2-foot run back, right?
Very exactly. Chelsea Carey saying we
Through
can't
90,
leave her a
that's
2-foot run
probably
back.
close If it's the
I
same
like that.
speed, do we think it's the same speed?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that one would have been back 8 probably, and you back 4 anyway, and you didn't sweep it, right?
You got her, Chelsea.
But you know you're in the desperation zone when you're having to make come-arounds around stones in the 8-foot circle when you're down 4.
97.
65% for Chelsea Carey in this game.
Line's good.
Looks like a lot.
Room.
Heavy? Yes.
Yep.
Wow. Seems to have a lot of weight. Asking Peterman to sweep it to actually try and slow it down.
Okay.
But will this slide back through the rings? Certainly going deep and out of the rings.
Amy?
Wow.
That much faster.
Oh.
That much faster.
So-
Didn't see that draw slide as nicely in the last one. And that one, well deep.
If I threw the weight we wanted, it would have been hack.
Pardon?
If I threw the weight we wanted, it would have been hack.
So that tells me that Chelsea Carey thinks she found a path of the ice where it was gliding more than she thought it was going to. But regardless, as we said, pivotal high-risk end here. Canada going for the steal, Japan accumulating rocks, and bingo.
Yeah, you get a spot in the ice that played a little bit more. Just seen Canada play in that area right down the center. It's going to slide a little more.
Yeah.
Last end was an out turn that hadn't been thrown that often. Was a little bit slower. I'm trying to get that time. That
Yeah, so the decision now for the Japanese is where do you put a stone of ours that doesn't give the Canadians a bailout shot? They're in a great position right now. If she didn't throw this stone at all,
is this opposite side of the 12-foot, biting 8-foot maybe.
certainly wants to keep it well away from the action.
Good numbers again, percentage-wise. Consistently seeing them putting up 80 or better.
Yeah, she doesn't want to leave the Canadians a hit and roll, nor does she want to leave them a freeze. Want this one to go deep, deep, deep to the tee line if they can. Well swept. They would have liked that to be another rock over, I think, because Carey does have a hit and roll here, but looks like they're going to try the freeze or the come around. Question for the come around is, do they get shot? Let's listen.
I think this at least maybe jams into that, although it's still good for 2 or 3. Let's go here. She misses it. Same ice.
Interesting comment there from Chelsea Carey, and it's kind of reflective of the game situation. She said, let's just throw it there and hope she misses it.
Well, you hear the
Now we got to be half 4 foot.
and sense the body language from this Canadian team. It's just
So that was a 97.
not there, not
So like a 110.
confident, not sure of the weight, not sure of the time.
And we saw similar body language from the Scottish team this morning. This Japanese team, once they get on top, can really punish an opponent.
Don't have to worry about what weight to throw when you're playing peel all the time and playing hits.
That's right. So, incredibly difficult shot here for Chelsea Carey. Trying to tuck one around the stone in the 8, but she's drawing against 4, and she knows if she makes a mistake, it's lights out.
T-line. It's heavy, eh? Nope, not bad.
They like the weight.
Second look at this path.
4-4. Gotta go line. Gotta go line.
Does she flick that top one? Yes, she does, and it's an open hit for 5.
And this would most certainly be ball game.
Just lost its handle at the end, but it was a great throw.
This split was good.
Yeah, I had 13.
No idea why it lost its handle.
I know.
So the Canadians are doubting the curl, they're doubting the ice, they're doubting the handle. Net result, this might be the ball game right here. Even though it's only the 6th end of play, Japan with an opportunity to score 5, that would put them up 11-2, and Canada might just decide to pack it in and save their bullets for tonight against Scotland.
Get rested and regroup. Well, Satsuki Fujisawa needs to make this hit first.
Count them.
And there
5.
it is.
Wow.
A handful for Japan, and no question there the handshakes occur. Japan, first time since 2008. They are into the playoffs, and they send a message, winning 11-2, wins against Canada and Scotland to get them there today.
Well, well, well. Back-to-back demolition jobs from this young Japanese team. They claimed the big scalp this morning of Scotland, 10-4. Ran them off the ice early, and they've done the same thing to this heavily fancied Canadian teams, blowing them off the ice 11-2 in only 6 ends. And that is absolutely sending a message. So it's Japan, the first team to clinch a place in the playoffs. That finishes the round robin for them. They finish on a very, very tidy 9-win, 2-loss record. They go to the top of the table. They'll finish no worse than second. Switzerland still with a chance to even them on a 9-win record, but my goodness, you can't help but be impressed by this Japanese team. That's 5 wins in a row for them. And the last couple of wins, they haven't just been wins, they've basically been demolition jobs. But we still have important games going on here with playoff implications here at the Credit Union Iplex, and so we'll keep you up with the play. Switzerland, also a team coming into this game with 7 wins, and so they've got playoff aspirations, as does Russia. They've come into this game also with 7 wins. So we'll keep you up with all the action. But this crowd is still buzzing and they're stunned. Came here in numbers this afternoon looking to support the hometown team, but they've just watched the hometown team really get hammered by this Japanese team. Warm round of applause from the Canadian crowd for the Japanese team, acknowledging the performance. It really was world class. So, other games in action. Denmark, Russia. Anna Sidorova. Last stone of the 6th. And it's the deuce for the Russians. So that pushes them back in front. Tight game though. Denmark with the hammer and Russia leading at 5-4. So let's see what's happening. Switzerland versus Italy. Well, quite a cluster of stones there. Yellow rock belongs to Italy. Vinia Felcher. Her last stone of the 6th end. Jams it back, but it looks like it's a deuce for Switzerland. So Switzerland gets their nose in front, also in a tight game. So they're leading at 4-3. Relieved smile there from Vinia Felcher. So now we pick up the game. Russia versus Denmark. One Russian center guard in front of the house. Stephanie Rizdal tries the out turn. Lenny Nelson coming out to help with the sweeping. Well by the guard, though. Just worried about the weight.
Go fast, Steph.
Into the forefoot. Wide open, though. So now Russian second player Alexandra Reeva. Try to eliminate that Danish stone. Russia remembers on 3 losses. Can't afford a 4th. Switzerland will have another game remaining this evening. So Switzerland only has 2 losses. Nice shot there by Reeva. Denmark with the hammer here on 7, but it's a pretty wide open end so far. There's Stephanie Risdal. This one needs to curl a little bit. Sweep it to the nose. So, decision now from the Russians to attack. They're going to use that corner or center guard. Trying to hit and roll. Looking to roll behind the center guard. Margarita Fomina with the hit. There's the roll. Very nicely played. Great hit and roll there from the Russian third player, Fomina. Now it's Denmark's Madeline Dupont. Playing the intern. Good looking line. Like to sit it in the front of the forefoot. Nice shot. Right behind that center guard. Very nice shot. Denmark with the hammer. So after that nice hit and roll, Margarita Fomina is being asked to play a freeze. Looking for it to curl. Don't want to bounce, but they do get a small bounce. So that will be available to Lenny Nielsen. Just fractionally heavy.
Så hvis vi kan få enten næsen eller den lille rulle her, så står den med. Ja. Lad fart her eller sådan noget.
Well, she's going to make a play on the Russian stone. It's just a question of how much weight to use on the shot. Got a chance for an inside roll. Also a chance for a straight back double. Just blows it by the stone in the back. So it's Denmark lying 2 with the hammer, but maybe a chance here for the Russians to double the stones off, Luke. Quite tightly staggered, though.
Yeah, the problem in playing that is you probably lose your shooter, and then Denmark can try and set up 2 that way as well.
And Also a chance that that left-hand red stone might spring backwards onto the yellow one as well. So difficult choice here for Anna Sidorova.
Так она привезет. У нас будет вот здесь стоять. Да, да, я тебе говорю, вот у нас будет стоять здесь камень. Она вот сюда привозит. И как я буду потом бить через него?
Considering their options carefully, they know how important this game is to them. They've got about 14 minutes and 45 seconds left of thinking time on their time clock, so time management's not a particular issue for them.
Was a hit and roll, probably a little tap and roll, try and roll in front, really close in that scoring zone.
Looks like it. Certainly want to make some kind of a play on one of these Danish stones.
It is just the first of Skip stones.
Well, she considered the freeze briefly, but great shot if you make it, but if you're short, you run the risk of dropping a 3. So we think she's likely going to eliminate one of these Danish shots. Quiet wait, though.
77% for Anna Sidorova so far. We join this game now in the 7th end.
They want that inside roll, and they just punch it by their stone in the back as well. So reasonably good rock location there for the Russians.
Definitely something they can use, and Denmark has to be aware of.
Here
Tough
we
for them
see-
to leave it.
Yeah, let's watch how close this comes to taking a piece of that back stone. Just pushes it by. Good shooting there from Sidorova, and a big decision coming up for Lenny Nielsen.
Would you be tempted to draw one freeze on top of yours?
If you do, you have to get all the way to the face of it. You have to be right on the nose, in other words. Lenny's saying, can I corner freeze on the inside of this yellow one? Not a bad shot, but if she plays that, I think they're playing for a 1. So now they are looking at the freeze on their own stone. It's probably their best chance to generate a 2 or a 3, but it's risky as well. Looking at the game situation, it's a tight game. 2 is pretty good. Even scoring is pretty good. Brings you back level, but they would like to get back in front of this game.
Ja, for man kan sige. Ja, men du skal godt nok være præcis. Selv hvis du laver den, er det også skidt. Den kan kun ramme der. Og selv der har hun dobbelt lige ned. Ja.
I really like that freeze. I think playing that hit is,
I think
you could
Catherine
make
Risdell
something
likes
for
it too. Catherine Risdell really wants to play that freeze. Lenny Nielsen, I think, wants to play the hit and flop on the yellow one, or a freeze on it. That's the shot Lenny wants to play.
Ikke hvis du ligger herinde, så kan hun jo ikke.
Lenny likes the freeze. Stephanie likes the freeze on the red.
Okay, be my guest. Jeg kigger lige dernede fra. Ja.
Skip's preference prevails, so Lenny Nielsen is going to try a corner freeze on the Yellowstone. As I said, not a bad shot, but I think even if she makes, Anna Sidorova will just lock it up and say, okay, take your 1.
yeah, I guess the risk of missing that freeze with the outturn.
You could set up a double and leave Russians line 2 pretty well guarded and have a tough shot on your last. We'll see the Danish backhand players still talking about this one. I think they're reconsidering, Luke. I think Madeline's trying to talk her into the outturn and come around freeze on the red. Danish time clock's now down to about 14 minutes, so again, no particular time issue, and eventually they do make the decision to say, okay,
Yo.
if we're going to get a deuce, it's riskier, but we're going to have to try this shot.
Well, Madeline Dupont is the skip of the team that Lene Nielsen beat to get to this World Championship out of Denmark. Now came as alternate, now playing. 85% on the game. Trying to win their 5th game.
Yeah, line is everything on this shot. They have to get all the way to the nose of their own stone, otherwise it could be disastrous. Way by the guard. I don't think there's anywhere near nose, just sweeping it right by everything at this point. That's not even close.
That one hits the hacks, is trying to play that freeze, and that one, good thing for him it didn't hit that stone.
Yeah, they were sweeping it by at the end. That's what can happen sometimes when you spend a long time debating over a shot and then you change your mind. For the entirety of that sequence, Lene Nielsen was thinking, I'm just going to throw a corner freeze on the yellow one. All of her teammates really wanted to play that out turn freeze. And the consequence is into the hack. So now, great chance for Sidorova to make a really pretty easy out turn, or in turn rather, angle raise. Just jump it onto the red, and then Denmark's in big trouble. Pushing yellow onto red.
Make this real nice. Steal a possibility.
Definitely.
Put in a position for the force.
Jams it, but pops it out. Probably
that
just
little
in the
roll.
open, yep. So a chance for the one here for Denmark. Sidorova played a lot of weight at that one.
Yeah, and the end, just watch that little spin. Just the spin of that stone.
That's the downside of playing that kind of weight. Puts the stones in motion and rotates them a bit. Could have played a bit of a board weight at that, but regardless, they get the force, and worst case scenario, Russia's going to get the hammer back even. Best case scenario could be a steal of 2 or 3, or 1 or 2 at least.
Well, sailed their first one through. Similar type weight on the second one now needed. Make the hit and stick to score 1. Well, gets away with the jam in the back to get their 1. So we're all square here now. Denmark, Russia. It's draw 16, the 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship.
Skal vi træde ud af the house? Ja. Hun får et rigtig godt rull, kan man sige.
Well, 5-5 here as we jumped over to Sheet C after our feature game. Canada-Japan was over early. After the minimum 6 ends, 11-2. A runaway by the Japanese side. And we know one thing, Japan is into that 1-2 with a 9-2 round robin record. First time they'll play in that 1-2 game in the World Championship history. They'll try and win Japan's first medal at the Worlds.
Den køler ingenting. Kommer først nu.
Russia wants to join them. Russia playing their final round robin game right now. 7-3 record.
Kiruka Izik, 86%. She struggled earlier in the week, but she's picking up her game late in the tournament. And if you're a team that's playoff bound, as the Russians hope to be, it's a good time to be getting momentum.
Well, with Japan's win, Russia knows with a win, they get into a playoff spot.
Yep, it's right there for them, and it's great to be in control of your own destiny. Sometimes you have to watch and hope that another team on another sheet does you a favor. So for this Russian team, it's entirely in their hands.
Go, 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 go. Okay. Okay.
So first two for Denmark into the rings. The corner guard.
Свип, Рита! Свип! Рита, свип очень надо, свип! Свип, давай, Рита, давай, удержать надо, удержать, свип! Давай, 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 еще.
Well, hit, roll all the way across, trying to use the corner guard.
And pops out the other side. And Russia doesn't mind splitting the house, and here we see the letter Q beside Japan. That means that they've qualified for the playoffs, first team into the big dance.
And in the 1-2, so they'll have two lives in the page format,
Yep,
one versus two playing.
Yeah, that's big for them. And then we see behind them 4 teams on 7 wins. 3 of them will make the playoffs. And now the question is, will there be any tiebreakers required, or will the win-loss combination mean that there's 4 teams clear?
Well, we know Canada will play Scotland, so one of those two will have 4 losses. And depending on what happens in this game, be on the outside looking in possibly.
Yeah, it's interesting. We were talking before the Japanese game, actually yesterday. Well, as you know, we've covered a lot of the games of Team Japan. Asking Satsuki Fujisawa, looking ahead to today's games, and a difficult game against Scotland and a difficult game in Canada. How do they feel about it? How do they respond? With a demolition job, really. Thumping Scotland this morning and then thumping Canada this afternoon. So those two heavily favored teams are both licking their wounds, looking to recover tonight, and they both need the win.
Against one another. We'll see 2 angry skips in Chelsea Carey and Eve Muirhead.
That's right. And they'll probably come onto the ice comparing notes, saying, "What happened to you?" "Oh, same thing happened to me." Two red stones belong to Denmark. Anna Sidorova, Russian skip. Working this hard for a curl. I'm wondering if there might be a jam here. No, well swept. They do pop that red stone off to the wing. Sticks around.
And kicks it out, so now
Not a bad
Denmark
result.
rolls away. That opens up that corner guard as a possible route to try and generate your 2.
Yeah. Russia won't mind it if the stones are away from the center line. Here's Madeline Dupont.
Go! Step!
And they've really stuck with this lineup since game number 2. They haven't really mixed it up.
Yes, Coach Ulrich Schmidt and the team making the decision early on to get Madeline into the lineup, and she's a mighty handy alternate to be able to bring in off the bench. There we see Margarita Fomina, though, with the statistical edge in this game, 100% on her hits. And now she's lining up a hit here. Could make the double and roll towards the guard. No double, so they're trying to flop it in front of their own. Russia sits 1.
So no real steal threat in this 8th end, but trading shots back and forth.
Yeah, it's pretty benign, really. Stephanie Risdal really working this one to try and hold the line.
Very nice.
Well swept.
Both teams executing their shots here in this 8th end of play.
I'm sure Anna Sidorova's thinking in the back of her mind, well, I don't know, blank maybe is not a bad thing here. At the same time, she's got 2 stones to deal with, so options might be to draw around the corner guard if you're gutsy. But they're playing the conservative play. They're going to make a shot on this back stone of the Danes. Try to flop it in behind the front red stone. Noses it.
Don't get that flip, and getting later and later in the end. We'll see if Sidorova, depending on where this goes, if they try to play that double, or if they're happy even just scoring 1 in the end.
Yeah, this is shaping up like a force potentially for the Danes. Moving towards the back end of the contest, though, even ends, so although Sidorova doesn't want to score just 1, if she does, if she forces back in 9, then would be in control in the 10th end with the hammer. Lenny Nielsen. Trying to play giant killer. She's already knocked over Japan this week. Can she do the same to this Russian team? There's the inside roll. Hides half of it. Pretty good shot.
It's definitely tempting now for a double to be made by Sidorova.
Yeah, they're taking a long look at it. They're thinking, is there another way we can generate 2 here somehow? They know if they play the double, they'll just be sitting in the open themselves. Could try the double across the top of the back one, and they might get a better roll that way. Pressure ratchets up end by end as these teams that have got playoff implications get nearer and nearer to the end of the round robin. And as we've said as well, it's not just the teams with playoff implications. Every game means something for every team out here because they're trying to get qualification points for their countries to qualify for the Winter Olympics. Sweeping it for curl. I'm not sure this is going to get across to make a double. No, it flips out to the outside, and so at least a force here for the Danes, and maybe a chance to steal if they can get a bit of good fortune.
Look at these skip numbers, 80%.
Yeah, pretty even Steven there.
Obviously, that one shot missed by Nielsen last end dropped her down.
Yeah, so
Go
nothing to choose
4
there
foot.
between the skips. Yeah, top 4 foot, top 8 foot's not bad. I mean, really just want to get another one in there. Now you're playing for the force realistically, but you want to cut down the scoring area enough to make it.
Do you want to force her to? Where do you go if you want to force Sidorova to draw for her one?
Well, if you want to do that, then you probably wanted to bring it into the 4 foot.
Så du kører normalt.
Top 4. Kom her. Top 4. Linjen er lidt tight nu. Linjen er
This
tight.
rock's taking a long time to break.
Top 4. Linjen er perfekt.
Now they're bringing it up into the 4 foot, half in.
Godt spillet.
Pretty good shot. Denmark lies 2.
Godt meldt, Pia.
Leaves that back one open, but
Tough
enough
shot,
that
though.
that
Tough
top
shot.
4 foot stone definitely comes in to be a factor.
Yeah, by bringing it into the 4 foot, Nielsen accomplishes a couple of things. Makes the draw really difficult if they want to draw for one, and not much room on the inside there for Sidorova. She wants to get inside and flop, which she would have to do to get her one. So pretty good shot there by the Danes, and a tough shot now for Russia. Might have to settle for trying the double and scoring one that way. Don't want to risk giving up 2 on a high-risk shot to try and do something different.
Мне кажется, опаснее пытаться сделать маленький ролл внутрь.
So there we see the brush going down. Still not sure if they're going to try and play that back one or if they're just going to try and settle for one by playing the double. Looks like they're going to play the back one, though. Risk here is if you feather that front one, could be a steal of 2.
Definitely not playing the draw with the broom right there.
Yeah, don't imagine this one's going to be light.
Final stone of this 8th end facing 2. Anna Sidorova and this Russian team trying to make it to the playoffs.
Саша, только Саша! Только Саша! Пойди, Саша, Саша, Саша!
Make the double, and it will be a steal of 1.
So, game on. Russia with the hammer in the 8th, but a steal for the Danes, and now the Danes take control of the even ends. And they lead it 6-5 after 8 ends of play.
Team Danmark lægger garden. Op med en. Jo.
Well, welcome back inside the Credit Union iPlex. Luke Coley, Hans Frauenlob, 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship. And that steal swings the edge in this game to the Danes over Russia. In a game Russia wins, they get into the playoffs.
So big steal there. Great rock placement by Lenny Nielsen with her last one, make it tough for Anna Sidorova. She was trying to play a double to score 2, just blew it by the Danish stone. So yeah, big steal late in the game. So it's always a bit of a decision after you get a steal like that. How do you play the 9th? Lenny Nielsen throws up the center guard, and Anna Sidorova says, okie doke, let's go around it.
Well, Russia wants to score 2 or more or a blank in this end, preferably.
That's right. Denmark trying to force Russia to take one, and deciding that throwing the guard is the best way to do that. Some teams in that situation will throw it into the front 12-foot circle. Just bring the play conservatively near the house, not in the front 12, but tight to the rings. But here's the stats in this game. Not much to pick between them statistically, but the one stolen point, the difference.
Definitely jumps out, and that's the difference in the game. Percentages all within a couple of each other for draws, hits, and overall percentage. Well, it's definitely shaping up to be a fun end to this draw and this evening.
Oh yeah, it's a great final day. As we said earlier, you couldn't draw it up any better as far as the schedule, head-to-head games that mean something right at the business end of the round robin.
Well, change of plans, try and go just around that one.
Yeah, just that Russian stone staying relatively high in the house. The Danes thought that they could outdraw it. They have, marginally. But only a corner buried, so Miruka Zik will try to remove it.
Try and roll away so that they can set up for their 2.
Very nice shot. Well, let's look across the sheets in the games in action. Switzerland, Italy, 4-3. United States comfortably in front of Finland in the 9th, 8-3. And of course, Japan destroying Canada, 11-2.
And the score does dictate the type of game that was. It was Japan off to a hot start. So we jumped over to see the conclusion of Denmark and Russia.
Yep, we keep asking the question, is this Japanese team for real? Well, tell you what, folks, based on today's performance, mighty real.
Well, Russia, one of their losses coming at the hands of the Japanese rink.
Looking for the roll. Pretty good looking roll here for Ava. Not quite behind the center guard though. So short little hit and flop here for Lenny Nielsen, but that yellow Russian stone in the top of the 8-foot circle, that's the danger rock, and it's what could generate that critical deuce for Anna Sidorova. Yes, the Japanese beat, of the 5 teams in playoff contention, they defeated 4 of them, or 3 of them rather. They lost to Benia Felcher.
Very nice little hit and flop. Taps that one through. Yeah, ho-hum, nice little quiet tap and roll.
Good control of the weight here.
Nielsen so worried with the roll, just about forgets about that one in the back. Did go out of the rings and out of play.
So there we see that yellow stone not really available to get to directly, so Alexandra Rayeva is going to try and run the front stone back onto hers, or at least just clear it away. Leaves a corner guard.
Well, Denmark will guard away. Force would be great.
Yeah.
Steal would be good.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a game of chicken here. It's Lenny Nielsen gambling that they can make a bunch of perfect guards. Anna Sidorova gambling that one of the guards exposes that yellow stone enough that they can use it for a raise. Don't want this too tight.
Well, playing the run back on the last, be surprised if they don't try it again.
Angles aren't quite as good this time though, Luke. If they ran the red, they would have to hit about 3/4 of it. But the shot is there. They can see their own stone, and now Sidorova is looking at the double raise. That's about where she'd have to hit it. Problem is if she hits it thin and goes across the top of that stone, but let's see. Has to do something to open up that stone in the forefoot. Just thins it.
Or
Spills it
trying to
over.
get the curl, and that wasn't the best throw from Margarita Fulmina.
No, it wasn't. They were looking for at least half of that stone and just clips it. So a chance for, again, for Madeline Dupont to throw, hopefully for her, a slightly better guard. That last one was a bit tight to the rings. They'd like it maybe 2 feet shorter than that. Stephanie Risdal likes the weight. Now they're wanting it to stop. That's a pretty good stone. Very nice shot. So there's 2 of the 4 guards they need on this end if they're going to steal.
And a well-placed one out in front by Dupont, but really that hit and roll by Stephanie Risdal and set up this end.
Still danger here for Denmark, though. That yellow stone of the Russians in the 8-foot. Threatening their shot rock.
Another shot at this one. Like, misses it.
Just past clipping their own. They would have loved to push their own stone out of the way if they could have. See here how close this stone comes to clipping that yellow stone and opening up the shot rock. Just went by it.
Well, and doesn't roll the shooter that far.
Yeah, the Russians don't mind that because they can use that as a bailout shot if they have to. They could run that one in. So here comes guard number 3. Lenny Nielsen resets.
Charlotte Clemenson, as they talk about weight. Little comedic break.
Of course, the last time Lene threw one down this pass, she threw it into the hack, so I'm sure she just took a little extra time just to feel good about the weight she was going to throw. Sweeping it now for the curl. They want to cover as much of that yellow rock as they possibly can. Wind up covering maybe a third, so I wonder if the little raise might be there now.
We'll look over. Another win for the U.S., but on the outside looking in as they pick up the 8-3 victory over Finland. Finland will finish with a 1-10 record on the week, while the U.S. will be on again tonight against Sweden.
That is win number 5 for the USA, so as you say, they might be disappointed with the performance, but as far as Olympics go, every rung in the standings is crucial for the Americans, and they want to finish this week at 6-5, and that would be a reasonably good haul of Olympic qualification points for the USA. So the Americans will rest up and come back tonight to face Sweden.
Yeah, in the first few games, though, I'm sure the States will tell you they left a few out there. A couple of games they should have won.
Well, over the course of an 11-game tournament, there's usually wind up winning one game that you should have lost, and usually wind up losing one game that you should have won. And the difference maker is what happens in the middle. Here's Sidorova. Looks like she's going to try and promote her own stone. Delicate shot. On it immediately.
Well, you see the switch to try and get two sweepers on the one side.
Oh, it looks like she's all over the guard. Crashes the guard, rolls it away. They'd love to get the bite in the rings, but no chance. So, chance now for the Denmark to lock this one away.
Try and go back-to-back steals and a 2-point lead if they...
Well, a steal now would be enormous. There we see. Red stone belongs to Denmark on the button. Russian stone right in front of it.
At this guard's in a good place. Is there anything other than maybe a run by, an angle run?
Well, there's two angle runs. I'm not sure if that run on the right-hand side now, because of that red stone coming to rest, might not be there anymore, so it might be the more difficult run, but first things first, Lenny Nielsen has to make this guard. Looks like plenty of weight. They don't want to line him up. Weight's fine. Now it's a question of line. That's a very nice shot.
Longer, that the run back is tough. And
well, now we can see on this overhead that yellow-red run back on the left-hand side's not there. It would jump off the red. So this is the shot. Angle run in.
Very thin on this one.
Yeah, very tough shot. It is there.
What's easier, trying to redirect your shooter or slash this one in?
Oh, I always think trying to hit it on the outside and driving it in is easier to read. There's a run in on the one on the left-hand side of the screen as well, but it's a steeper angle and a longer distance to travel. So of all of the risky options for her, this is the least risky option for Anna Sidorova.
Right now it sits. Denmark would be in the steal position. So the worst that can happen for Russia is a steal of just one.
Yeah, you can see the angle here perfectly from this shot. Sidorova's going to have to hit about a third of that stone, driving it straight in. She got no room for error here because she just clips half of that red Danish stone and rolls out herself. Denmark gets the force, and they've got the hammer playing 10 all even.
So final shot, angle raise for Anna Sidorova. Well, trying to sweep, get the curl. Catch it, stick it.
Great shot, Anna Sidorova. 2 for Russia. Fantastic shot.
Well, Sidorova needed that one. Russians were chasing the entire end, couldn't make the run back. She makes the tough one, the angle raise.
Wow, look at this. Hits it absolutely perfectly. Hits a third of the rock and absolutely stuffs it. Critical shot and fist pump from Sidorova. She knows how important that was.
Don't see a lot of that from Anna Sidorova. No. But they take the lead. We get set for the 10th end. 7-6, pardon me, Russia leading Denmark. So the third deuce of the game for Russia gives them the 1-point lead heading to this 10th end. And the lovely 1-point game that you see so many times. Denmark will try and get their 2 with the hammer. See how aggressive Russia tries to force or go for the steal and the outright win.
Well, that's right, Luke. And even though I live in New Zealand now, I'm very happy in Auckland. I grew up in Canada, and growing up in Canada in the wintertime, you learn that overtime only does one thing, and that's loom large. So I would say that an extra end is looming large right here between Denmark and Russia. So 2 games have concluded, 2 games still going, both of them with playoff implications. Let's take a look at Switzerland versus Italy. Lots of red Swiss stones in that rings. Here's Federica Apollonio with her last stone. Trying to play giant killer here in this last game of the round robin for them.
Yeah, trying to win their second game, their last of round robin. A sweep here to get this one in and tie things up.
Nice shot.
So they're all square 4 apiece heading to the 10th.
Well, this is shaping up very interesting. We've got 2 guards, 1 stone in the top 12 foot, so tons of room in the scoring zone.
Where that guard is actually makes it tough to try and play that come around.
It does.
But maybe not out there. Just to the eye, looks like a tough.
Well, there's some options now. That's the thing. We've got longish guards and that stone in the top 12 foot, and options, I mean, for both teams. Denmark with the hammer. All important. Looks like she's.
Wow, whoa.
Yeah, that's got to clear the guard first, and it's got tons of weight. This thing's going to sail into the hack, I think. Big mistake here for Denmark.
Well, does that change the plan now for Russia? How do you go about it? Do you try and go for the steal right now?
Tough call. Very tough call, because you've got it all set up now. You could go for the steal, change gears and say, all right, we're not going to play for the extra anymore. We'll just go for it right now. Anna Sidorova quickly checking her time clock. She's got 4 minutes and 25 seconds of playing time left. Plenty.
Нравится, но достаточно далекий гард. Даже если будет здесь, в принципе, это выталкивается все. Это будет как гард. Совсем сюда.
So really your decisions are, if you go to the 4 foot, you're playing kind of for a force / steal.
Denmark needs the deuce 30% of the time with the hammer. They're scoring 2 or more.
And the risk, of course, is if you do go for the 4 foot and you don't make it great, with all those guards in play, you greatly increase the risk of dropping it too.
Great numbers on the hits for Rayeva, but lower for her draws, which she plays right now.
Well, this one's not exactly light either.
Another rocket.
Nielsen's quite happy for it to stay in the rings, but it goes through the rings, so
the one-handed sweep.
Back-to-back draws through the rings. Wow.
Back where we were a couple shots ago.
So now the options for Denmark. Her first instinct is to go for the pot. Could also corner freeze that top stone. Could come around the corner guard. Could rip the corner center guard. But for me, Denmark's best chance is to win the game right here in 10. So I'd be keeping the guards in play and trying to work up a deuce. Every guard's your friend right about now if you're Denmark, I think.
And they're
Timeout is
going to call
called.
timeout. It's a key stage of the game, or of the end, pardon me.
Der ligger.
Well, and of the game, absolutely. So they'll ask Coach
Hun har
Ulrich
bare lige
Schmidt
vist os, at
to
hun
make his
egentlig
way
gerne
down
vil
to the
det.
ice
Hun
side.
vil gerne gå efter os sjæl. Ellers så havde hun pilet den der nu. Ja, præcis. Men hvis hun kommer rundt der, så er det jo...
There we see the game situation. Russia's up 1. Denmark with the hammer.
Nej, rundt om den. Nej.
Ram den, hul, eller måske, som I siger, hul for den, der ligger 2 foran garden.
Men jeg helst kan den herovre, for der er ikke nogen vej ind.
Nej, det er det. Og det andet er jo også, hvis du laver de der rul, chancen for, at hun laver det, det er de ret gode til, ikke? Så jeg tænker måske, hvis I kan komme ned og få dem den der ud og rulle over.
Du vil ikke bare tage den på næsen?
Jo, det er også fint. Rundt om den, det bræder mig ikke om.
Meget hej. Halvdelen.
Rullet er også okay, så lad hende rulle, og så kan I gå rundt bagefter.
Men du vil rundt om den der?
Ja.
Du kan ikke lide at rykke den?
Sætter en dobbelt op for hende, og så er der jeres 2 tempo væk, eller mulighed væk.
Så hvad er bedst, næsen eller rulle?
Næsen synes jeg er rigtig godt, men rulle er egentlig bedre lige rullet, fordi næsen, der kan de komme rundt, og så kan du ikke gøre noget med den. Ikke? Så ligger du dobbelt af dig.
Ja.
Det er bedst lige rulle, ikke?
Så hvis vi ruller, og hun skyder den ud lige her på,
Ja.
så får hun cornergarden næste gang?
Rundt om cornergarden eller centergarden, hun er den på, hvordan det ligger, ikke?
Ja. Det laver vi. Hvor gør vi? Nu på den der.
So a lot of options being discussed there, Luke.
Thanks.
How's your Danish?
My Danish isn't quite as good as my German or Japanese, but
Max.
Jeg tror
I
ikke,
heard
du har mere
Naza,
der.
so that's nose. So I think they're going to try and get to the nose somehow of this shot
Det er jo
rock.
ikke katastrofe,
Sit
så
their
længe
own
du holder
behind
fingeren.
that center guard.
11,5.
And thinking if we do clip that top one,
Ja.
we at least leave ourselves maybe with 2 corners. So not a bad call. Stephanie Risdal climbing into the hack to throw this one. We think the play is a down weight hit on the shot rock, looking to get to the nose.
Solid game from Rizdal. And
On it immediately. Are they by? Yes, they're by. Great sweep. Great shot.
well, do they have enough punch that one right back?
Well, it goes deep in the house, but it is only
Second shot.
second shot. That's right. But the Stones are in much, much better position now for Denmark. There we see that red stone half behind the center guard.
Well, Rave will go in turnaround, top 4 foot.
Stone placement now so critical for both teams.
Чуть-чуть бросьте!
Have to get it by. Just clipping it. So great opportunity here for Denmark. Lenny Nielsen.
Door has opened.
Yeah, so a couple of choices here for the Danes. They could try to hit it on the high side and flip it to the outside and make the double to lie 2, but preference is going to be to flip it to the inside. It's a shorter roll just to get behind cover. And we see just rubbing that top stone. Big shot here for Denmark.
Well, this one takes off on him.
Over curls. It's a bit of a sweeping error. They just momentarily called Clemenson off, and the stone really dove. It's a good-looking shot, but it's popped out the other side. So now Sidorova has the chance. Look, right there, just a small hesitation. And that stone really dives in the last 15 feet, and it rolls across the 4 foot and into the open. So pretty nice shot, but a great chance here for Fomina to hit and roll on the inside herself.
Well,
This one's moving too.
they just get by the front and will roll out in the open the other side.
Wow. My goodness. So that stone's now behind the tee line, well behind the tee line. See here, Naruka is trying to hold the line, but just gets about a half of it, and it flops out across the center line and into the open.
Ser ud, som om jeg kan spille den vej ned. Lad fart.
So now, Madeline Dupont, her turn to try and stuff one behind these center guards.
Well, hit and rolls back and forth. Neither side able to make that one perfectly.
Step. See. Yes. Oh. Yeah.
They'd love a roll if they can get it. Little outside roll. Denmark lies 2. No, I'm sorry. Denmark lies 1. Russia's second shot. Denmark's third shot.
Godt, Mette.
Russia's got to be careful where they roll. They don't set up a double on those 2 yellows. Obviously, roll buried would be nice, but you overroll it, you leave a double to lie to.
Sweep, Kira. Sweep, Kira. Kira watching. Kira watching. Sweep right there. Sweep.
Well, look over Switzerland and Italy.
Outside roll, great shot.
Final stone here. A tie game. Benja Felcher and her Swiss team. Chance to pick up their 8th win.
And that would be huge.
That would get them into a playoff spot. And just guiding this one in.
Well controlled by their sweepers. Just needed the 8 foot, and she puts it on the tee line. So Switzerland goes to 8 wins. They're 8-2.
And they will be in a playoff spot. They can finish first in round robin with a win this evening against Korea.
So now the complexion of this end changes as we see the Swiss celebrating their win. Big relief for them. The Italians gave them a great game.
Italy will finish their round robin at 1-10.
Oh, a little redirection, no. Trying to bury this one, but it sits in the open. So Denmark with opportunities, but really not taking advantage of them. Here we see, watch how close this comes to the outside guard. They're sweeping it to just get a little tick. They might have even feathered it, but it didn't really change the direction of the shot. Watch this. Yeah, just grazed it. Pretty wide open for Sidorova. Good news for Denmark is the stone is behind the tee line. So even if Sidorova makes an inside hit and roll, Lene Nielsen will still have something to draw to. Just this final game remaining. Round of applause for the Swiss team from this Canadian crowd as they leave the ice. Sidorova concentrating on her game here. Big shot in the context of this one.
Lower numbers for the Russian skip, just low 70s. Trying to get the curl on this one. This to lie 3.
Right on the nose. Russia lies 3. They lead this by 1, but Denmark's got the hammer.
Well, if there's time for a skip's deuce, it's right now for Lene Nielsen.
So this is the critical shot coming up. Denmark's used their timeout. They've got 5 minutes of thinking time remaining. And the decision is, well, do we just draw? 3 options, really. Option 1, just a straight come around behind the center guard. Full 4-foot. Option 2, little hit and roll off that stone in the 4-foot. Option 3, freeze the stone in the back 4-foot.
Ja, så skal vi håbe på misset, ikke? Ja. Er det svært at misse indlægget, hvis hun har noget bagstop? Ja. Det synes jeg nemlig også. Men ja.
Denmark realize that they have to be lying 1 after this shot. They've got that red one to raise on their last one if they have to in a desperation shot, but saw that stone from Stephanie Risdal early in the end. See that red shot on the top 12 foot, pushing that Russian stone into the back 12 foot, but leaving the Russian shot, and that really changed the complexion of the whole end.
Squeeze, Minna.
Lenny Nelson asking for a little less ice. She will be positive with the weight.
Well, they saw one just get past that corner guard, so tightening it up. Top part of the forefoot. Here's we see Danish skips first of skip stones.
Weight looks nice. Just a question about the line. Looking for it to curl and finish.
Well, trying to take it to touch that yellow.
It over curls.
Are they second shot, though, at least in the back?
They are second shot. There's Ulrich Schmidt saying, oh gosh, could have swept it a bit more. This one, look how hard it finishes. Across the face of that Russian shot. But Anna Sidorova is not out of the woods yet. Denmark is lying second shot. 2 points for Denmark will give them the win.
Well, Sidorova with a win. They get into the playoffs. Where they'll fit still depends.
Russian coach Roger Schmidt intently looking at Sidorova in the distance with his binoculars.
Well, that's to lie to try and just win this one right now.
Just saying, put it on the tee line, don't go past it. Now they're playing a freeze, and that works pretty well for Russia. Have they left enough of a gap for Lenny Nielsen to play some kind of a triple, though? Maybe score two that way. See Sidorova now shaking her head. She's wondering about where she's left this shot.
I think there's enough. Just have to kick that one out of the forefoot. Yes. Third shot, it does belong to Denmark.
So big decision here for Denmark. Denmark playing the red stones. Russia playing the yellow stones. They're saying, well, score one, we go to an extra end. I think there is a shot here if they hit the top stone on the inside really hard, jump sideways. They could score two right now and win the game. But they'd have to throw pretty big weight and just hit a small part of that shot rock. So the decision now is, do you play a conservative shot and go for the extra end, which you're going to have to steal to win the game? Or you've got the hammer right now. Do you do what you can to use it to the most effect and gamble for your deuce? Hard to tell from that broom placement. It looks to me like they're just going to play for the one. Sidorova can only watch.
So, Lene Nielsen, her final shot of this 10th end. Well, make sure they're by.
They don't want to lose the roll.
Sit there, get their one. Well, that will mean an extra. Denmark gets their single point with the hammer. They can't generate their deuce, and that means Russia will need to score in the extra to get into the playoffs. Here, as we will get some bonus curling after that one sits in the forefoot. 7-7, heading to 11. Well, look at the line scores. We head into this extra end. 7-7 the score. 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship. Extra end of draw 16. Just one game left out on the ice. Denmark will look to put these two centers out in front. Again, Russia wins. They will finish the round robin at 8-3. We'll be into the playoff picture. Depending on what Switzerland does in their final game, could possibly slide into that 1 versus 2 game. Well, trying the tick shot, can't push that one to the boards. Krukazek able to make the tick shot. So the high guard. %, on her draws for the Russian lead. Well, 2 tick shots made.
Yeah, that's big. And Lindy Nelson think, do I throw my saver now and go around the corner? Or do we just set another one high and hope for a jam? It's the latter.
Well, this is a tough stone to get to throw, the very long guard, because you want to see if there's a possible peel that could jam.
Yep, just trying to throw it just over the hog line. It's coming a little deeper than they'd like, but not bad. There's the miss that the Danes needed.
So the flash Alexander Raeva sends that one right by.
Isn't it always the way you make 2 perfect ticks and then you flash a clear?
Interesting now decision. Do you put another, do you try and go top part of the house? Do you go a tight guard, or do you get one in a steal position?
Well, you know that the Russians are going to be clearing a guard anyways, so you might as well just try and sink one good now, knowing that the Russians are going to be clearing the center guard anyways, and then you try to guard the living daylights out of it. This one, though, looks like they're going to elect to have another guard. Don't want to set them up to make a double clear, however. Comes to rest just about a foot short of the house. So now Raeva will have another go.
Из-под этого можно вытолкать, если что. Нравится пробовать 2 или брать 1, потому что из-под этого можно вытолкать. Он все равно мешает.
Like the maybe contemplated just peeling the tight one, knowing it's probably riskier of the 2, but you can get both with this one.
I think you always have a crack at the double clear if you can.
Well, gets that second one, but knows it. Still leaves a guard out in front. Well, let's see how we got to this stage. Final shot here, Lenny Nielsen.
Possible triple there for the deuce in the win, but Lenny Nielsen electing a safer shot. Roger Schmidt and Ulrich Schmidt on the bench. Double Schmidt action, rolls across, and it just hangs on in the forefoot, and we're in an extra end.
You see the lean from everyone on the players' bench trying to lean it the other way.
You do whatever you can when you're not on the ice to try and make things happen for your team. Now, this might be the case where you go for the lid, but they don't want to slide behind the tee line. They want this as far forward as they can. Goes to the back of the button, not bad, but they would have liked it about 2 feet further forward. So this is interesting.
Going after the one in the rings as opposed to peeling that center line guard.
And I say interesting because if for some reason Margarita Fomina gets to the nose on this one, it gives the Danes a chance to potentially freeze right on the button.
And they are going to be right on the nose, back button.
So here it is, folks. This is the opportunity for Denmark. Has to be absolutely perfect, though. Madeline Dupont. Lenny Nielsen saying, yep, we can get to the pin. We can be shot. No bump, though.
Just right on the nose, or do you want to be across the face a little bit?
Fractionally across nose.
Well, I like those odds with 91% for Madeline Dupont to play this.
Yeah, but you're really literally throwing it to one pebble on the ice here.
Well, now trying to play a little bump, knowing they're a bit heavy.
It's more about the line there, so they got separation they didn't really want. Had to sweep it for line. It's a bit of a let-off here for the Russians. Stone is still behind the center guard, but remember, Russia's got the hammer. They also now have a stone in the 8-foot. That could be their saver.
Well, and trying to have this one curl up to it.
Russia lies 2.
They could lie 6 or 7. I think Denmark's still playing around the center.
Well, 3 to come for Denmark, and although Lenny's looking at the come around, might be kind of tempted to throw another guard here, actually. 2 to come, rather. Thank you, Luke. Regardless, though, you have to steal the end.
We'd rather over curl this, I think, than under curl with the, where those yellow stones are.
Well, you're betwixt and between here. So if you're coming around, you're saying, okay, I have to go for a shot. And if she runs off the guard, then we're just going to have to guard it perfectly and win the game that way. You could gamble a bit more, and as I said, try and throw a guard and make Sidorova try to clear a front stone or try a draw around herself and gamble that you can get one of your own in on your last one. Lenny Nielsen is electing to come into the rings. Well by the guard, good looking line. Want a piece of the forefoot for shot. And they get it there.
Just good. Enough. That's as far as they wanted with that one.
That's pretty good.
Become accustomed with all the coaches' benches, charting every shot, what happens. And
so there is a little hole there for Sidorova to push that red stone through if she can get to the half of that, which I think she would be able to do on the in-turn. There we see. Perfectly behind the center guard. She could play the in-turn and just push that Danish stone back between the two yellow stones. Looks like they're going to play out-turn though. The risk, of course, is if you play the in-turn, if you jam the Danish stone. Less risk of a jam on the out-turn side, but less of the rock to see as well. Well, what a finish. Let's see. Long center guard protecting the red rock.
There's a look at Anna Sidorova. Her first in this extra end with a win. She gets to the playoffs. Still, depending what happened, could get to that 1-2 game.
Well, they're alternating sweepers, so they must be really close to their line.
Well, they roll over a little bit and leave that shooter there.
So now for Denmark, where do you put it to try and steal this one? Tight broom maneuvering there with a guard looming. 3 Russian stones in the rings, but they only need one of them. We're in an extra end. Bonus coverage here from the penultimate round robin round at the 2016 Ford World Women's. Playoff implications here. Russia must win this game to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Would like to overbury and get underneath of that Yellowstone, so can't go straight back without jamming.
Yeah, Russia's going to have some kind of a shot on their last. Nielsen will do all she can to make it a tough one.
Sitting with 4-5 record. Be on in action again tonight, but try and even the record.
Oh, I'm worried about the line on this one, Luke. This one looks tight. And she wrecks on the long guard. Disappointment for Denmark, but victory for Russia. Big clutch win for the Russian team, and they go to 8-3 to finish their round robin. Their work is done, and they can only stand and wait for this evening's crucial game between Scotland and Canada. But Anna Sidorova and her mates in an extra end fight a valiant Danish team, but come away 10-7 winners. Last rock attempt there by Nielsen. Over curls in his light, shakes her head. Not today. And relief for the Russian bench. Sighs of relief, really. Wow, what a draw. Seems like long ago now that we saw our feature game today, Japan versus Canada. Japan running off the Canadians in 6 ends with an enormous 11-2 comprehensive win. So this one got underway quickly for the Japanese in the first end. They earned the last rock in the first and an open hit for Satsuki Fujisawa. Well played, right on the nose, never in doubt. And Japan off to the races with a deuce in the first. Then in the second end, Canada's got the hammer. Satsuki Fujisawa looking to turn up the heat on Canada's Chelsea Carey. Brings her stone into a great position, full forefoot lying two to make it a really difficult last shot for Chelsea Carey. Carey trying to jump this stone off her own shot and wiggle it in somehow to score one, but comes narrow and crashes the front stone. And all of a sudden, the Canadians are stunned and the Japanese are ahead 4-0. And in the fourth end, again, Japan with the hammer. Canada lying one, but this Japanese team so efficient with the hammer. And they do it again. A delicate little shot by Fujisawa just pushes the Canadian stone back, and cha-ching, another deuce for the Japanese, and they grab this game by the throat, leading 6-1. One final desperation come around attempt by Chelsea Carey, just feathers, and it's an open hit for 5 for Satsuki Fujisawa. Right on the nose, a huge count of 5, and the Canadians say, that's enough for us. Too good today. Japan run out 11-2 winners and move into the playoffs.
And look at the other games. Switzerland knocks off Italy, so they are into the playoffs, while the U.S. evens their record at 5-5 with the win over Finland. And as you saw, Russia with the extra end victory over Denmark. They also clinch a playoff spot, seeding to be determined this evening. And that shapes up the standings. Japan, Switzerland, Russia all in. Japan and Russia off this evening. Switzerland can get the 1 seed with a win, while Canada, Scotland play tonight, which should be fun. And then Korea, 5-5, finishes out the first page of that leaderboard, playing for Olympic qualification points based on their standings as well. The U.S. there 5-5. Denmark, Sweden 4-6. Then Germany 3-7. Finland and Italy will finish both with 1-10 records at this year's World Championship. Congratulations, well done. How excited are you getting into the playoffs?
おめでとうございます。プレーオフに入れるのはどの程度にエキサイトメントしていますか？
まずこの試合カナダですごくいいチームなんですけど、その中で前半からいいペースで試合も運べて、なおかつ勝てたってことはすごく誇りにもなりますし、このまま自信を持ってプレーオフに進みたいと思います。
So we're just really happy right now that against such a strong team, we were able to get off to a good start with this game, with a good pace and keep it up. And we're confident we can maintain this going forward.
Now, how excited would it be and how big would it be to go home with a medal?
そう、メダルで持って帰るのはどの気持ちとかどんな大きい感じと思いますか？
まあこれからまだまだプレーオフの試合が続くので、まずはその試合に集中して、結果は後でついてくると思うので、あんまり考えすぎないようにします。
Okay, well, for now we're just thinking about the games going forward. We'll take them one at a time and not think too deeply about how we're going to go home and what we might be carrying.
Congratulations, best done. Well done. Well, as that finishes the second to last round robin game here, we'll see you tonight for the final one from the Ford World Women's Curling Championship.